How's your ice cream?
All right. We ready to go?
Yeah, man, let's get it.
All right.
Oh, does he?
Go ahead, give it a check.
I did a check already. I just need to say when to go.
Oh, wait. All right, let's go.
네, 그렇죠. 자, 준비 끝났다는 콜 돌았습니다. 오늘 경기도 첫 걸음부터 뒤져보도록 하겠습니다. 첫 걸음은 김민철, 윤수철과 함께 데자뷰로 내딛겠습니다.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the KCM. We're getting into week number 5. Last week, absolutely fantastic, so we're very excited to be back casting for you again. Looks like we're going to be starting off with Soulkey. Yes, he is in the lineup this week versus YSC. Let me bring up that full lineup so we can talk about it. And there it is. We got Sock, JYJ, and Rush for the Terran squad. Mini Best YSC Action Hero Soulkey. Looking like a fat lineup this week. Should be a banger.
Yeah, Zug and Protoss especially look particularly strong. Maybe Terran a little bit weaker with the Sark and JYJ picks. There are a couple of better guys out there, but still very strong players. And Rush is an amazingly solid Terran as well. I'm looking forward to this. This is the first time we've had like 2 A-teamers in the Protoss squad. It's usually just been like, you know, like one guy and 2 other slightly lower hitters. So I'm looking forward to seeing this series for sure.
I wouldn't want to spoil anything from the ASL, and I certainly won't, but for the qualifiers, you guys who don't want to be spoiled for that, skip ahead right now. We had YSC qualify, as well as Rush and Sock, whereas JYJ didn't make it in. Everybody else here is in. And so the power levels are shifting a little bit. And wouldn't it be hilarious, Shun, if we had Protoss lose this week after bringing it back in the past 2 weeks with the kind of a subpar lineup, or what we would assume would be a subpar lineup?
Yeah, I mean, it can happen. It definitely can happen. Pretty much everyone on this list is a really potential strong player in terms of what games they can put out there. Sark has been a little bit disappointing recently, managing to throw a couple of games. Would like to see him find some redemption this series. YSC also changing his ID back over to Hero again. YSC is his initials for his name, so maybe a little bit of identity crisis for him there. Hopefully he can find himself too.
Yeah, we're just going to keep calling him YSC for now. These guys flip-flop a little bit too quick on their name choices, and we've got Queen back on his ID 0, his old ID from the Kespa era. I guess he's had a change of heart as well, so we're never quite sure what to call these guys, and they keep changing their names. It's not very good for their branding, but I don't think that they really think about that too much when they're making those choices. However, it is a big deal for us over here in the English community.
Yeah.
Third base going to be coming up here for Soul Kias. YSC tries to put on a little pressure here, Shun. Ooh, he gets one Ling right off the bat. Not a lot of damage on that probe. A little bit of uncharacteristic miss micro there from Soulkey.
Yeah, this is a little bit unfortunate. Like, Soulkey wants to delay making too many Lings as long as possible, and to also delay how long it takes for this Zealot and Probe to get into the main base, so he doesn't really risk losing any drones. That might now be a factor. Lings just barely hatching out in time. With the Probe helping out with some drilling, might be able to fight those Lings pretty well. Does manage to block the run by into the main base, so Soulkey not really finding much damage at first. He does manage to snag that Probe kill, which is huge. Now can slowly but surely go to work on catching that Zealot in the back line. Hope he doesn't lose this drone. It's one hit. He actually should have lost that drone. If he called Soulkey's bluff and didn't pull the Zealot back prematurely, he actually would have caught the drone there.
Yeah, it seems like YSC expected a better reaction time from Soulkey, and so pulled back prematurely. Could have gotten a drone kill, like you said. Ends up losing that Zealot, only killing a few Lings, but he's put on some pressure, and we've seen some cracks in Soulkey's play here today. I gotta say, he has not been playing at the level that we expect in the KCM this season, or last season, really. But maybe he's slowly getting back into that form for this next up-and-coming ASL. It's just, it doesn't really look like it just yet, Shun. It really doesn't.
No, it doesn't, say. And I've been worrying about this. We talked a little bit about it in previous seasons, that now that he's got this triple ASL titles back to back to back, well, now what? Like, he's got nothing to really live for. I mean, happens to a lot of Olympians. They get the gold medal, and suddenly they lose the motivation to do what they once did, and we might see that happen in Soulkey. I really hope that's not true. I've never wanted to be more wrong in my life, saying, but this might come to fruition.
It is a possibility. We have to consider more Lings are being made and sent across the map, but it can't gonna finish. So what are these Lings actually here for? There's some additional Lings that are not really gonna make much waves at this natural. They will prevent Zealots from moving out for the time being. Maybe if YSC wants to push with just a few Zealots, might end up losing those. But the follow-up is going to be a Hydralisk bust, so just keeping these Zealots off the map, I guess, is the plan here for Soulkey.
The main goal is just to deny scouting, because at this point it's possible the Zealots try and poke out onto the map and see what's what. At the very least, buy enough of a window that a probe can sneak out onto the map while the Lings are distracted catching the Zealots in transition. So ideally you want to... Oh, he's actually let the probe slip through. Soulkey, what are you doing, man? He is definitely not playing on form today, so...
That's very surprising. Yeah, I was balking at that, actually, watching the probe head out on the minimap, and no reaction from Soulkey. That is definitely something you need to keep your eyes on as you're macroing here. This is a situation that Soulkey's found himself in a million times. He should be able to macro this with his eyes closed, so keeping his eyes on the mini map shouldn't be a problem. He left everything open at the front. I'm really surprised to see YSC not move out with a couple of Zealots while all the Lings are chasing this. He is going to start to move forward now, but he's just going to run right into these Hydras, and now he needs to start a lot of cannons back at home.
Oh, this is like kind of lucky for Soulkey, because really YSC should have pushed out with the Zealots and put pressure on him, then would have seen the Hydras coming into him. Finally kills that probe. Kind of crazy that it died in the same spot it snuck out in. A little bit of a weird situation. Does have these cannons coming online. He did have 3 finished up, so he's not just going to die straight up here. So YSC luckily hedging his bets and isn't going to pay the price as a result. Sulky, meanwhile, has to keep a few of these Hydras back at home that are currently now pinned down because of this Corsair, kind of acting like a bishop right now, checking the knight. Does try and see if he can find some overlords with that Corsair, but luckily Sulky's actually put his overlords in pretty hard to find positions right now. So hopefully he doesn't lose too many overlords too soon and can keep macroing out to his heart's content while chipping away at this wall, while transitioning into a more normal game, throwing down extra macro hatcheries.
Only 4 cannons coming online now for YSC. He's kind of correctly deciphered that Sulky wants to transition into a normal game from here, adding on more hatches and drones and trying to macro out of this position. But he's got a very quick Citadel back at home. He's going to throw down 4 gateways and try to put on a bunch of Zealot pressure as Sulky's making drones. This might actually get in right at the perfect time. Sulky is starting an upgrade. Look at how much money he's spending on not army units. He's spending a ton on making this transition work, and he might just get bowled right over. There's still a lot of Zealots here at the front.
Yeah, he has made a decent amount of extra Hydras. Maybe, just maybe, there's somehow he can break through here. He did only have 4 cannons finishing up with the links to soak. There is just a small window here to make this work. Does start an additional cannon with good target fire and slow response on the probe drill. He can actually break through, but if YSC pulls these probes, he can easily hold this with good micro.
That +1 upgrade did finish as well. That's a lot of Zealots, and we've already got that Zealot speed upgrade finished. The legs upgrade is done, and so breaking through here is probably going to be an impossibility for Sulky now. He's kind of locked in, though, to continuing to make a bunch of Hydras. Like, he can't transition, otherwise the Zealots will break out, and he'll lose this contain. He'll be on the back foot for the rest of the game. He's got his lair on the way. That's a point where he could possibly transition. Once he gets his lair done and he has a lurker upgrade complete, he can make lurkers and build drones at the same time and keep himself a little bit safe. But YSC is going to be putting on a lot of pressure to him until then. That's a lot of Hydras, but this army is going to come out strong here in a moment. As soon as that storm is done, how is the micro going to be from Sulky?
Yeah, those 4 High Templars reserving a lot of energy right now, and they will be proved very potent in the fight to come. Does have this Overlord to spot this move out, so trying to set up a good concave to dive in and snipe these High Templars. Thinks better of it. Is also trying to bait out Storms from YSC. That's an okay one, but the Storm dodge was also pretty good. Now trying to come on the northern flank to snipe these High Templars while dodging Storms on the southern flank. Does lose a few Hydras to those Storms. A little bit sloppy reaction times from Sulky, but it doesn't matter because YSC kind of overstepped his boundaries a little bit. Should have waited for another couple of rounds of these Zealots to come out. Now, actually, Sulky can set up a soft contain. He will not be able to hold him for long, but he can kind of keep YSC like stuck in his base for another minute or so, and that will give Sulky precious seconds to do his own macro cycles back at home to kind of drone up a little bit and stabilize his own infrastructure going into this mid-game.
Odd leg dodging and juking from Sulky at that front. Managed to lose hardly any Hydralis to those storms and holds back YSC for now. The problem is his drone number is so low. He's got so few workers. He needs a moment to breathe, to be able to throw down a big round of drones and get up to that 45 mark when he can start to really produce off of 6-hatch Hydra. This is so many Zealots coming out. With the Storm in addition to this, it's going to be really hard to hold this back. That is just so much DPS and so much tanking from all these Zealots. Here comes the Storm to add on that splash damage as well. Running back, look, he added a few drones on, but now he needs to switch right back into Hydralis production. Does he have the tech to make this hold happen? He's got to have like a bunch of mutas popping out or something. Lurker, we need something more than just Hydras going around the back here. He's actually going to get a kill on one of these High Templar. This is a desperation maneuver from Sulky to try and stop this by just getting the kills on these Templar before they get their storms, but they get pretty decent storms, and there's so many Zealots left over.
And there's not enough SimCity, and the natural saying you can't just body block and choke up those Zealots anymore. He has to retreat to the high ground, kind of making his drones much more susceptible now to attacks from those Zealots and maybe even a Storm. Does morph an Archon in, and Archon's great at clearing up drone lines as well, but Sulky doing a good job of doing cleanup on L5, avoids disaster here, didn't really lose too many of those drones as well, and managed to get a pretty efficient cleanup on those drones, so kind of getting a little bit lucky here. The stars kind of aligning for a Sulky comeback in here, I would say. Like, he kind of just avoided disaster barely, like dancing on a tightrope, and somehow managed to not fall off, but it looked like he was a drunken boxer, Shaolin monk or something, stumbling along.
That was a very tight hold for sure. Really hard to continuously dodge the storms and try to get those snipes as the Templar and Zealot army is pushing you up into your natural. He barely managed to hold on with a few well-placed lurker eggs. He did end up losing a few drones, but I think he's still pretty okay. Now this push coming up, that storm on the bottom side is insane, dealing so much damage, and Zealot rally is coming behind this. Storms get thrown down on the front line. Zealots need to get out here in the front and start to tank some good target fire there onto a couple of those Dragoons, but that's still a pretty big army, and now that the lurkers have been removed, the Zealot rally is going to dominate here, throwing down some sunken colonies at the front. There's the Zealot rally coming across the map. It's going to hit these Hydras from behind. A big storm lands there, and I think that Sulky has finally been broken. We're really, really close to falling apart here. Hard to put anything together when the Dragoons are standing right on top of your hatcheries, hitting everything as it pops out.
Yeah, Sulky was desperately trying to whittle down the army and take the sting out of this Protoss force, but unfortunately he hasn't managed to kill enough of these Dragoons and Templars to avoid disaster. They kind of act like siege tanks laying siege to the Zerg, able to pick off your macro hatcheries and catch any units coming from rally because they can no longer meet up for flanks. GG finally called from Sulky, and YSC finally punching not only above his weight, but looks like he's grown a few inches or something, as saying.
Okay. Damn.
Hey man, I mean, I really hope YSC has an amazing ASL run and surprises the shit out of people. Because he's been putting in the work, he's just not really had much luck and hope in the past, but now it seems like the stars are aligning for him.
That was a really good follow-up. The four gateway play.
And he got unlucky. Like, Sulky got lucky in this game so many times, and YSC still pulled out the win. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say it's great.
All right.
Whenever you're ready.
첫 번째 시즌의 5주차 벌써 여러분과 함께하고 있습니다. 이 경기는 최호선 대 김민철.
Wow, these are the stories that you don't get to see if you're only watching the ASL. YSC taking down Sulky. Who would have thought? If it happened in ASL, most people are going to be completely caught off guard. We can see his evolution, though, in this tournament. He has been performing better and better. Still a huge upset to take down Sulky in this game.
I mean, you are hesitant to evolve into Raichu. There's just so much reasons to keep it a Pikachu, but I think YSC has finally decided now is the time.
He's gonna let that evolution take place, and we're here to witness it. YSC now going up against Sock, who definitely should be an easier opponent than Sulky, although things really did go wrong for Sulky in that game. The response as well, though, just YSC's response. Guys, if you ever get, or you're having a hard time with Zergs that are coming at you with the Hydralisk bust and trying to transition off of that 4 gateway directly into Speed Zealot is so powerful. It works so well. It's so difficult to make that transition properly. If you're going to hit your macro as a Protoss player, you can usually bowl them over, and he really hit his macro there. Ran over Sulky. Let's see if he can do the same thing to Sock.
Yeah, Sark electing for an 11 gas here, so it does allow you to get a little bit of an early vulture out onto the map. It's so good at punishing early shenanigans and also early greed. We'll have to see what we're going to see from YC here. I don't know, is this going to be a gasless expand from YC? It looks like here. So kind of like a safe Nexus first, but honestly, this Vulture can still... Okay, he's taking a gas, just a slightly later gas, but he can actually get this Vulture in maybe with how late this gas is, and actually kind of put on a tiny bit of pressure to YC if he's not careful.
Yeah, this is a little bit out of the ordinary. I wonder exactly what he's going for.
I think he was going to gasless expand and then didn't scout him with the probe early enough, so he decided to do a safer gas to be sure, and it's kind of going to work out for him that he's not going to be totally punished because he didn't scout early. But as a result, like, I also still think the gas is too slow.
It's a bit of a weird situation we find ourselves in. YSC has the second Zealot popping out now. He hasn't really been able to do... Actually, that's a third Zealot, isn't it? Third Zealot coming across?
Yeah,
or this
it has
is the
to
probe?
be.
No, second Zealot.
It'll be
Second Zealot.
It'll be Zealot
You'll have to make a
Goon
third.
at least, but a third will be necessary because he hasn't scouted. He doesn't know what's coming, so you might need to make a third just to be safer.
Right. Well, Sock is a little far away from his Sim City. Not going to be able to get in here and actually slow down the factory at all, so that's a big loss for YSC, but he does jump on top and gets a Marine. Really good control there. Almost kills off the second one as well. Gonna do the loop-de-loop here and bring these two Zealots together, but he's definitely losing them. He'll have to commit as the Vulture comes out. Oh, the engineering bay on the other side of the map, though. That really hurts.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't even make the third Zealot, and now he's going to get punished because he can't stop this engineering bay from blocking his Nexus going down. He should have made that third Zealot.
Definitely should have. And now this engineering bay has 400 HP on it. I think there was a misrally of probes as well down to the bottom right-hand corner. He had 2 probes down there. Things are going a little bit off kilter for YSC. Let's see if he can pull it together now as he throws down his natural hatchery. Needs to make sure that this first Vulture doesn't deal any damage to him. Got to be really careful about Sock slipping anything past, or this situation could spiral quickly out of control.
Yeah. I mean, CC going down at the same time as the Nexus, you are genuinely pretty happy about this as Sark. If he can somehow also thread the needle with this Vulture and get in here and kill a probe or two, that'd be kind of crazy good as well. It's very rare that you can get both probe kills and get out with the Vulture alive, but it does occur in the earlier phases of the game.
Yeah, it can happen occasionally. There's a raging debate whether it's worth it or not, but
Right.
he's going to try and run by now, looking for that opportunity. 2 Dragoons are making their way back now. Oh, he pauses for a second. Maybe for too long. Mines are done, but he can run forward and just target these down, no problem. As long as YSC's control is on point, he's going to kill this, and there's going to be no damage whatsoever.
Wow, Sark
Yeah,
does
that's
not know
gonna be
how to
taken
lay
out.
mines quickly. He wasn't doing the shift-hold mine-laying technique to lay mines in quick succession and slide the Vulture off the first mine, so kind of got punished there for not knowing a pretty basic advanced mechanic for high-level Terrans.
A basic advanced mechanic, yes. That is that is something you need to learn if you're going to be able to lay down mines around Dragoons like this. If you're going to be able to pull off any sort of early, 1, 2, 3 tank push to pressure an early Nexus or anything like that, you have to master that technique. And it seemed like Sock's attention maybe was elsewhere while he was doing that. He's got the nice surround of the entrance of YSC now with a ton of mines everywhere, and he's building, I think, a dropship. A Wraith would be really nice to have at a moment like this, especially as YSC moves out with the shuttle. He doesn't have any Dragoons that are able to come out and support this because he hasn't built an observer yet. Oh, just slipping by the vision of this mine. Barely not going to see that dropship. Might be able to land a bunch of vultures in the main, but this Reaver could do way more damage over here in the Terran main.
Yeah, YC knows the vision range of those mines at the third won't cover the shuttle sliding all the way down on this hex tile on the very far right. So, oh, there is a mine to clear a little bit of the DPS for that Zealot, but not enough to stop the Reaver getting out. At the very least, denying mining time. Doesn't really get a good connection with that first Scarab, but slowing down the turrets is still useful here. Also punishing a little bit of the minerals of Sark and paying dividends for these 15 mineral Scarabs, but now going to be doing a counter drop in the natural expansion of YC. There's a single Dragoon here to help buffer against this while the Wraith chase down the shuttle, but actually he might get quite a few probe kills in this natural expansion of YC out of the main base as well.
Ooh, big shot there. Huge Reaver shot there at the end, but this is a lot of kills going back onto YSC's side. I thought he would get so much more from this Reaver, being that there was only the one tank to deal with that. But the Wraith comes out, handles that shuttle, forces it into kind of a last stand, a desperate engagement there, throwing the Reaver into that natural and trying to get as much as he could before everything died. And so as the dust settles, I think Sok is in a pretty hefty advantage.
Right.
He has the map control, he's got mines everywhere, and he's done more probe damage, I think, than YSC was able to do.
I think so, and I also think this is the main risk about going for these fast tech plays as YSC. That it's safer to go for 2-gate obs into these kind of plays. It does allow you to put on this early game pressure like we saw, but it so often goes that you don't get the Reaver Scarabs connections that you need, and you don't have enough Dragoons to deal with Vulture drops and other shenanigans or that one gateway worth of production.
That certainly seems to be the case. I really feel like if YSC had come in at a different angle, though, with the Reaver shuttle, if he'd been a little bit closer to the ramp, the SCVs wouldn't have had much space to go. He also whiffed the first shot with the Reaver, which really harmed his ability to deal damage there. Generally, almost a completely open base. The Reavers should be able to get a lot more damage than we saw from YSC, so fumbling the ball a little bit, it happens. He's still in this game. Let's see if he can bring things back as he looks to take this next base. He's got to take it here soon, and he is going to be able to block the Vultures. That's one thing I got to say for YSC so far. He has done a great job of blocking the Vultures coming in, at least on the ground, if not in the air.
Yeah, I mean, it's very exceptional considering he did that for only one gate's worth of goons. Like, I actually expected a lot more probes to go down than they did, actually. So even though Sark's in a great position here, I think somehow YSC's avoided disaster. This is still technically a playable game. He might need to be careful with this shuttle because losing the next Reaver to this Wraith catching it would be disastrous. He needs some way of slowing down Sark with that Reaver, buying a bit of time, forcing a few sieges when he does decide to move out finally. So maybe that YSC can be a little bit more aggressive or greedy here. He has got 2 robos worth of production, so we might be seeing a crazy amount of shuttles being made and Reavers and just diving into the main base with like 3-4 shuttles worth of units and trying to bowl over Sark while he's teching up here.
We've seen 2 Wraiths so far. I wonder if we'll get any more. 3 Wraiths gets, the DPS gets kind of crazy, and if you're willing to invest into Cloak as well, and you're you're on the up and up with your scouting, you might be able to find those shuttles just kind of parked, waiting for units, waiting for reinforcements and pickups, and fly in with the Cloak Wraith, just snipe those down. It's insane value. However, I do not see the upgrade coming here for Sok. He's going to forgo that upgrade in favor of more factories earlier on and a bigger army on the ground. Double Reavers still popping out here for YSC. How many Reavers is he going to make?
Quite a few. I imagine he wants at least 3 or 4. He could go... He could go crazier than that, but you don't really need to. Like, once you got like 4 Reavers, that's pretty much good. You just need to like dive into the main base, and you have enough Reavers that you can almost one-shot the supply depots. So you just blow up all of their supply depots before they can react. So the armories and the depots will die. They can't even make units. Their upgrades are cancelled. It puts you in a great position as Protoss to dive onto that production tech line like that. We do see 2 shuttles coming in now. Dropship intercepts it, sees it early. 2 Wraiths even able to respond as a quick response team. Needs to get these SCVs out of here though. Reavers, look at this, going to be targeting the armory and the depots just like we were talking about. This could cripple this to tech of Sark just a little bit here. He is targeting one of these Reavers though. I think he might just barely stop the armory dying. He does manage to save that armory. That's so huge.
Wow, I can't believe he didn't target the armory. It was some good, decent damage there, killing off a lot of SCVs and also getting some kills on those supply depots. But man, he could have gotten so much more of an important snipe there had he gone after that all-important armory. And now this return drop dealing a bit of damage in this main base. YSC is actually on one base mining at the moment. It's pretty rough, the situation he finds himself in, but a return drop. Can he actually finish off what he started here with 2 more Reavers coming into the main? That's a huge hit on all of those SCVs as they're returning, running away from this base. There are still a couple of Wraiths here clearing things out, so he should get the shuttle. I can't believe he didn't drop back into that corner once again and try to pick off the armories. Instead, he's just going to tap out. Too much probe damage from these drops. Oh my goodness. YSC falls apart.
Man, that was crazy, that back and forth at the end. Like, if only he could just not take damage from the Vulture harass. He's in such a great spot.
Yeah, for sure.
That was wild.
Yeah. That was a lot of damage. Holy.
So many workers died so quickly. Both of them.
For both of them, yeah. If he had actually killed the armory, I might have said like he could have stayed in, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
with +2, +1 finishing up, and even though he killed a bunch of workers, yeah, and he's now got a third, and he lost a lot of workers. Oof.
Yeah,
that's a lot stacked against him. Yeah.
Yeah.
If he at least denied the upgrades, then maybe there's a shot. But
it was a good effort, though.
It was a good effort. Okay. Let's go.
Yeah.
Good effort there from YSC, and he's really done his duty for the Protoss squad. Taking out Sulky is a massive accomplishment. We'll leave it up to Mini and Best to do the rest.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Sock versus Hero. This should be a fun match. I've been loving Hero's play recently.
Yeah, he actually did have a bit of an upset in the qualifiers. I don't know if I should talk about it. Should I talk about it?
You can give a spoiler alert and then talk about it if you want.
Alright, it's a little spoiler alert. Like, go la 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 for like 10-20 seconds otherwise. Like, so this guy called BCM somehow is a killer of top Zergs and managed to take out Hero in the qualifiers. Hero still did okay in the other day of the qualifiers, but on the first particular day, this guy, who's an amateur player, by the way, not even an S rank on the ladder at the previous season's timing. So yeah, kind of crazy upset that even the best of the best can get taken out by amateur Terrans. That's how strong this race is.
It's really the finickiness of Zerg, the how quickly you can lose a Zerg. It's sometimes really shocking. Makes the Zerg players look very bad. Occasionally when you just topple over to some sort of cheese or something you just weren't expecting. You miss something moving out on the map, and you can just topple over insanely quick. But that is crazy that BCM managed to take out Hero. We had an amazing Soup Duel series between Hero and Royal. If you guys want to check that out, absolutely fantastic series between those two best of 7. I won't spoil it for you, but it was a lot of fun, and it makes me just that much more excited to see Hero's performance in this game.
Yeah, Starcraft's an exciting game in every respect, and it seems like there's always new stories around the corner and players falling in and out of fashion in terms of their skill level and their ability to perform. So stay tuned, guys, because things are going to get wild this ASL season, and Sane and I are super looking forward to bringing you some of the action on Starcraft TV and Soup.
Absolutely. We're going to be casting it live on Soup, and then it's going to go up on the Starcast TV channel afterwards. But getting into this game, we've had a 11 or 12 hatch here from Hero. Nothing too out of the ordinary to get us started, as he's now going to go ahead and pump out a few Lings get out onto this map before taking his lair. He's spotted the front. He sees that Sock is just going directly into a 2-Rex play. 1-Rex fast expansion into a 2-Rex. He's not aware of the second Rex here, but he can probably decipher kind of what's going on. It could, of course, be a fast eBay. But as he sees the Marines rallying down from that natural or into that natural, he's going to be able to figure out exactly what's happening.
Yeah, you can hide the additional Marines to fake out the Zerg player if you want. But you don't never know for sure, but you can kind of start to narrow down the possible range of play. He doesn't see the first barracks spinning right now, so he might be thinking this is engineering bay, even though it is 2x. That's interesting. We saw a more lava-orientated lair timing from Hero, taking at around 302 to get an extra lava popped out when the lair finishes. Resetting the cycle. So this is actually looking pretty optimal for Hero. If he can just not take any damage to this 2x, it's going to come down to whether or not he can identify and deal with it as optimally as possible to not hinder his Mutalisk timing.
We'll see if he throws down a third hatchery here or not. Bit of an idle drone there in the natural, kind of out of character for Hero. To be catching onto that here pretty soon as his second gas comes up. We haven't really talked about the map too much just yet. What's the map name called again? Metropolis?
Yes, Metropolis.
That's the brand new map here that's going to be played in the ASL. So both players are not totally familiar with this map, but there's nothing too crazy in this matchup that's really going to change the way that this one functions.
Yeah, scanning in the natural, going to identify the singular sunken coming online. He does have some speedlings, so you have to worry a little bit about the run-by potential. It does buy you a few extra precious seconds of time to defend, because the Terran's a little bit more cautious. He has got the wall plugged up with a SEV and 2 Marines. You can do that with Firebats, of course, but not having to produce Firebats and instead making more Marines would be optimal. So Sark elects to do that, just so he's got more punching power in this force in a few moments here when the Mutalisks show up.
So the third hatchery goes down over in the bottom right. He's going to be taking that natural and looking to get that third gas online as soon as possible. Taking the natural here makes a lot of sense. These are pretty tight chokes in the natural, and you can set up a few sunken colonies there to hold back the Marines as the Mutalisks deal their damage. So far, quite a few turrets have been made, but it's a little bit difficult always on a new map to figure out what the optimal position is for these turrets.
Right.
We'll see if Hero can find the right positioning to actually break this open, or has Sock practiced this enough?
Well, he's not practiced it enough, because building a turret there means that your SCV can get stuck sometimes. Needs to be careful that he doesn't lose control over this production line. Only a single turret online. Needs to keep his bio here, protecting this at all times right now while the second turret comes online. The bunker and the natural does help a lot, because then you can't just do ling stabs into the natural while the mutas are buying time in the main base, pinning the Marines down. So Sock shouldn't take any critical damage here, so I think he's fine going forward.
Yeah, that doesn't look like that definitely doesn't give him a lot of credit, having the SCVs stuck there behind the turret. Feels like there may be some options here for Hero to dive in and pull this man apart, but right now he has to pay attention to the Marine forces that are moving out towards the middle of the map. He can't allow that group to make its way down to the bottom right. There's not enough defense there, and he's not ready to transition into lurkers just yet, but the Lings are going to come up from the bottom. He's going to distract these Marines as he dives in, picking off a few more. Not quite ready to actually dive fully onto this, though. I thought that was going to go better for Hero. It just seemed like he dove in a little bit haphazard.
Only 3 of those Lings actually were hitting. One of them was kind of like bugged out for a few seconds. It didn't have optimal damage output, and reducing those Marine count quick enough, unfortunately. Does get quite a lot of these medics on the exit, though. That's a really great pickup from Hero. Reducing the amount of medics in the bio ball is so limiting on their ability to come out onto the map and actually challenge any of these bases. So I think Hero has kind of already weathered the storm now by shaving off not only that many Marines, but also limiting the potential of the healing power of those medics. He can't really come out onto the map anymore.
Yeah, and the factory is just finishing up. Starports are on the way. The transition is still quite far And the Hydra Den has been done for a little bit, so he should be able to get lurkers out in time. He opens up that position to let the SCV free, but SCV doesn't value its freedom. He lets himself get picked off. He stays in his cage until his death.
He was institutionalized. What did you expect? They made him into an animal, Sam.
He's been broken in his cage. Evolution Chamber finishes up here. Is he gonna... What are we gonna see here from Hero? Getting an Evolution Chamber this early, and I didn't see a Queen's Nest. Did you see a Queen's Nest there?
I did not.
Are we going to see some sort of weird mass lurker play?
It's possible. I mean, if you get the lurkers up into the natural expansion, they're pretty much dead without tanks. Even if you have got Irradiate, you can't kill that many lurkers that quick enough once they start to contain you with like 5 or more lurkers. So there's the Queen's Nest at the third. So he's actually not going for that.
Okay.
I thought he was going for kind of like a bit of a gambit, trying to contain him. He saw how many Marines he was killing. Maybe he could somehow get this contained for free. But all the Marines actually going to get down here and get a few drone kills. Has to cancel the lurker morph to stop too many drones from falling, and that means there's now a timing to come down into the bottom right. Hero knows he needs to dog this Bioball at all costs right now, reducing the counts. There's no way that he can come and upset the bottom right with that lurker timing being disrupted.
Yeah, he's going to force this Marine Medic group back. That'll keep him alive for a little bit longer. The Hive is on the way. I guess he just wanted to get those Carapace upgrades rolling a little bit quicker along the curve. Usually you throw that down around the time that the Hive starts, but he got the Evolution Chamber there a little bit quickly. I think we're still angling towards an Ultralisk late game, though. I don't think the plan is to go into Hydralisk Defiler here for Hero. What do you think, Shin?
I don't think so at the moment, based on the way the game's gone, especially with the lack of macro hatchery from the 2.5 early. I would imagine that's not going to be the case at the moment by what we see here. He needs to get like a Sunken or 2 up with these lurkers. Like 2 Sunkens and 3 lurkers is like the minimal threshold to not just let them bust in the natural expansion of Zerg in the mid to late game phases. But with how things have gone and how efficient Hero has been with this Mutalisk micro, he can probably get away with even less than that.
He's really reduced his bio count by a lot, constantly picking off medics and Marines throughout this game. Now we've got some vessels coming out with the Irradiate. The Mutas aren't going to be as useful, but maybe he can slide around the side here, start to shut down these command centers. That can be a really good way to distract the Terran player from just pressuring you at the front. Oh my gosh, he's going to run right on into these lurkers. The whole position play is not going to pay off, but this Mutalisk run by is so good. This is slowing down Sock by a lot. There are a ton of lurkers here in the main and natural. I don't think Sock's going to be able to break through here, and he can't get this third base online either.
Yeah, I think Hero's worried about a drop play here. He's got some lurkers on standby in the main base, just in case this is a bit of a bait and switch, and there's also 2 drop ships that are on the way and manage to hide from the overlords. So he's a little bit concerned, but he has enough to both defend the natural and the main base. Oh, he gets a vessel snipe. That's huge. This is kind of crazy. Sark is in a little bit of trouble now, and the Mutant is going to maybe gun down this other vessel. Oh, he doesn't quite get the first. He doesn't get it. A bit of miss micro there from Hero. Uncharacteristically, Sark going to be able to save this vessel now. This is actually a little bit of a avoiding of disaster. I think if those Mutas sniped that vessel for free, I don't even know how Sark would have been able to start laying siege to him.
Quite the slip up there from Hero, not to get that secondary vessel, but it came on the heels of the slip up from Sock, allowing his vessels just fly right in and get easily sniped by some Scourge. Sock is going to have a really hard time pushing into any of these positions now. With the lack of vessels and defilers out on the map, I feel like Hero is really taking control here. He's moving into that 4th base now, and with that early Evolution Chamber we talked about earlier, he's going to have upgrades rolling very soon. The second upgrade on the attack for Sock, it's been delayed by quite a bit. It's on its way now, but the science facility was a little bit later because the factory came out a little bit after 7 minutes, and now I feel like Hero might just be able to keep up in these upgrades, and there's not going to be a really great timing for Sock to break through him as the Ultras come online.
Yeah, I really don't see a window opening up for Sark here to lay siege, and he's even going to try and get an early plague. That's a very nice crisp plague timing from Hero. He hasn't been cutting his tech at all. Now able to put a lot of pressure onto Sark, who has to kind of keep his bow from being too deep, advanced towards the rally point, maybe having like a few units in front spread out a little bit to avoid like, big plagues just absolutely annihilating him. Has got a dropship gambit coming into the bottom right, but Hero's already ready. Pair of Scourge, bunch of Lings already just waiting in the wings to pounce on that.
Ooh, there's a little bit of a dark spot in the top right-hand corner. These drops might be able to get in and deal a huge amount of damage. If he denies this fourth base, things are going to start to spiral a little bit out of control for our Zerg player. He loses one of these dropships, but most of the army is out. Darkstorm comes down. Lings and Lurkers going to be holding this back, not really maneuvering away from the army there, and Sock is going to lose the majority of those forces. Unlikely he gets a kill on this hatchery now as the Lurkers move forward, and Ultras are now coming out to play. The drop coming in a little bit too late to do any real damage with Ultras on the field. It's going to be an easy cleanup from here.
Yeah, Sark just doesn't have that boxer level task switching to both make his Marines dance back from units and then snipe off the hatchery while he was macroing back at home and laying siege to the Zerg with irradiates in the natural onto those Ultralisks. So we'll be able to get this fourth gas online. That's 1200 gas a minute. That's 6 Ultralisks that Hero is able to produce to start sending Sark's way soon. Needs to be very careful in this game, does Sark. He's losing his window of opportunity. He has double expanded. He has got some gas, but catching that dropship in the natural expansion in the bottom right quadrant of the map is crazy good for Hero. It's so cost efficient, only to keep that dropship from doing further damage to him, but also freeing up his attention to start macroing even harder. Not having to put out fires means you can also get your own plate spinning even quicker.
I love the way that Hero is moving these mutas through the middle of the map. He's checking to see if any stray vessels are moving back towards the rally point to try and get repaired up, or if any fresh vessels are coming out to reinforce this army. It's a fantastic move, and he's actually going to catch one of these reinforcing vessels. Really good play from him. Keeping these Mutalisks active despite all the macro and micro he's doing elsewhere on the map. Super impressive stuff from him.
Yeah, usually those Mutalisks are kind of reserved to killing the vessels when they've already been plagued, or helping with drop shenanigans by being a bit of a quick response team in the main base or the other quadrant of the map. Doesn't really need to worry about that. Hero's got so much APM and optimal. Look at this. He's even shaping off like even more and more of these vessels, even knowing which one has been plagued. Very well played from him this game. A lot of finesse we're seeing, and unfortunately Sark is much more of a blunt instrument. Like trying to fit the square peg through the circle hole is not able to get ahead in this game, and this double expansion attempt, while necessary, is going to start to be shut down. There is a few bunkers actually set up in the top right. Maybe, just maybe, he can hold off and buy enough time to stabilize here. This SCV body blocking on the ramp is going to be crucial. And all these vessels going down.
Oh, finally catching up to these vessels out on the map. And by the way, it has come to pass. Only 2 attack on these Marines and Fire Bats, whereas the Carapace is also at 2 armor, evening out that upgrade advantage. He is going to be able to trade extremely efficiently with these Ultras, and he will have that 3rd upgrade on the way. See, still no +3 here for Sock. Lagging behind in those upgrades. He hasn't added on a physics lab either, and so battle cruisers are not on the way. Sock is just running around with big groups of Marine Medic, fighting against these tiny little contingents of Ultras and Lings that are pulling him apart in every different direction. Still not having that upgrade, man. This is a huge window for Hero to be able to do a ton of damage.
Yeah, this is kind of wild. I mean, there's no way to defend 12 o'clock now. He just has to kind of sacrifice his economy. He's going to try and send a force to clean up those ultras and links, but it's not going to be successful. Most of these SCVs are going to fall. He's going to deny a lot of mining here. Eventually, he can even pressure the top right again. Does have this massive force pushing into the bottom right, but 4 stacked lurkers under a whole position. Overlord with ultra support. It's just no hope in hell of breaking through there. Sark has to tap out. Hero looks exceptionally strong, Sam.
기분 좋은 출발이 없습니다. 예, 배럭 더블 출발에 피해 없이 좋은
I think he's like keen to redeem himself from losing to BCM. He's like firing on all cylinders right now.
2025 첫 번째 시즌 5주차를 함께하고 계십니다. 환절기 건강 조심, 미세먼지, 황사 조심하시면서 종채 즐겨주시기 바라고요. 종채가 목요일이라서 아마 여러분도 지나고 나면 요즘 거의 목요일 밤을 주말의 시작이라고 치시는 분도 많이 계시더라고요. 금요일 지내고 나면은.
Damn, Sock taken down by Hero. Maybe needs to reach out, talk to BCM, ask him for some lessons. What do you think, Shun?
I mean, I would say so. I mean, it's definitely an impressive showing to be able to take down a legend like Hero, and you can maybe imagine that due to that result, there's a little bit of extra tenacity and fire in Hero's belly. He's like, oh yeah, yeah. He doesn't want to get clowned on this season of ASL, that's for sure.
Well, at least he still made it in. I mean, Zero, aka Queen, got knocked out in a similar way by a Terran player with the double racks play twice in a row. Ended up losing his chance to even try to compete in the ASL. So at least Hero is qualified. He's going to be going up against Mini now. This is an epic match, and we're here on Eclipse.
Yeah.
This is a map with a long history. A lot of stories have played out here. But it can be a difficult map to deal with all these lanes in the late game for Zerg.
Right, much like that map Minstrel that's just gone out of the cycle. It has lanes. The high mobility army usually reigns supreme, and if you have to make the decision to turn your army around, you just can't really get back in time to defend. It's so awkward and frustrating. You need perfect scouting and understanding of the game state to avoid this. A pretty good micro here from Mini. He will catch up to this droid. He cannot get this expansion online at the third like he wants to for free. Really good early game, but it does allow Hero to get the hatchery down in the natural. If Mini could somehow catch up to that drone and kill it, that'd be almost like crazy critical damage, but wasn't able to quite catch up to the drone of Hero. Good juking and jiving, kind of. You need basically to be as least predictable as possible with your movements of Worker, or they will easily catch you and gun you down.
The more unpredictable you try to be, sometimes it makes you even more predictable. Someone can get the rhythm of your movements,
right,
and start to track down those units. Once they've really started to figure you out, once they've gotten into your head, that's a good sign. They're able to predict those movements of the drone or the worker in multiple different matchups. It's going to be a factor. We've got the third hatchery coming down now. Hero grabbing the traditional 3 bases that most Zerg players will go for on this map, and running by to try to catch something, catching a Zealot here coming across the map. And he's going to go directly over towards the natural. Going to rely on just some rallies back at home to keep that hatchery alive. As the second Zealot comes up, that hatchery is going to be under real threat. That's when you can start to actually kill the hatchery. You deal more damage than it's able to heal or able to put on as it builds.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have a block on the ramp or anything, so maybe he can still clean this up pretty easily. It is annoying that they can get behind the minerals, but it's not the worst thing in the world. He should still be able to clean this up fairly efficiently. The main issue is just keeping an eye on these other zealots that are coming out so they don't just get into the natural or the main for free because you're so busy. Oh, pretty good surround from Hero. That was really nicely done. Mini really was so cocky there in trying to keep his zealots there. Almost unnecessary. I would rather him just go back behind the minerals and play it safe. Really strange that he was being that cocky, and Hero bit off his head.
Yeah, now he doesn't really need to build too many more lings. He might make a pair or 2 to deal with this next couple of zealots making their way into the natural, but he catches those as well. Oh, dude. Hero is going to shut this down, and this is a huge win for him, catching that Zealot at the back, picking it off before he can even get behind these mineral patches. Hero's going to be able to sneak out a lot of drones without taking any damage in the early game. There's really nothing that Mini can do to Hero as he gets into this massive wave of drones and a huge economy behind this.
And unfortunately, guys, Mini's a pretty emotional player, so already he might be so rattled that the game may be over. I'm hoping he can stabilize his mental state, that he doesn't just freak out and tunnel vision and play bad for the rest of the game. He needs to somehow keep calm and carry on. It looks like, though, these Zealots may be at risk of getting caught yet again by these Zerglings. He's just scouting on the other lane with the probe, sees that there's no Ling, so he knows the Lings are probably nearby. Speed just finished, so Mini is so aggressive and cocky right now that he's going to get punished yet again. I really do feel like the emotions may be getting to him and making a little bit of mistakes and being a little bit too over-eager, and now he's going to pay the price.
He gets in here and sees the main base. He sees the layer. The timing on that is important to know. But Hero, with just a few Lings popping out, is going to be able to trap Mini in his space. He has no threats to him at the moment. Nothing to be scared of as he just drones like crazy and gets into all of the hatcheries that he desires.
Yeah, you can easily transfer drones over to the third as well, which is always nice when you don't have to worry about like drone transfers being caught or too much loss of mining time from them to keep going back and forth and voiding Zealots. So this is absolutely like a game preem for Hero now. He's going to be feeling like he can macro to his heart's content, keep track of how many Zealots are being produced in the front, and only add on Zerglings when necessary. Due to the Zergling speed, obviously you control the engagement, so all of the power is in your hands to engage these Zealots at your leisure until they finally make their way into your mineral line.
He's done such a fantastic job so far. It really is. Oh, wait. Hydra Den on the way. Interesting. Just going to rely on a couple of Scourge, I imagine, and then go into... What is this? Is this going to be Lurker Contain? Yeah, I was thinking Lurker as soon as I saw that, but... Is that really what we're going to see out of Hero? It is a very strong map for Lurker Contain. Maybe you can talk about it a bit, Shun.
Yeah, he killed so many Zealots that it's really tough to break out. But Lurker Contain, if you set up just like a massive kill box of like an L-shaped Lurkers, and they kind of have to then get Observers and a lot of Dragoons to actually break out of that. And when you're in a bad position like Mini is, you don't really find yourself in the ability to do that. So should be able to set up a Contain for free if he does manage to trade off these Zealots as well. They don't even have +1 at 7 minutes, so these Lings should do a good job of cleaning these up still. Usually they'd be able to two-shot these Zerglings, not able to do so now.
Kind of shocked that he didn't take that engagement. Is that a second Stargate? It is. Second Stargate here. Oh my goodness. Second Stargate is pretty shocking. It's done so poorly lately that I'm really shocked to see Mini go for this. He sees it. He sees the second Stargate. Hero will be able to put together the correct response. Here comes that +1 Zealot army. I'm going to try to get in here and deal some damage. There are quite a few Corsairs now, and not enough Hydras to actually stop these Overlords from going down. So he will be supply blocked for a little bit. But he's got enough Hydras, I think, to hold off everything. Got good Sim City as well. And that's one thing about Eclipse, is that third base, you can easily defend from the top of this ramp. It's a very small ramp. Just a few Lings on the front and a couple of Hydras behind that, and you can hold off a lot.
Yeah, a beautiful manual control of those Scourge as well by Hero. You want to manually fly them with your right clicks and then attack left click when they're on top of the Corsair you want to kill. And otherwise they will not have the perfect highest speed possible and will not be able to catch up to those Corsairs. Now has a risk of losing a few of these Overlords, which may supply block him if he doesn't deal with this though. Needs to, hopefully he's got a few Scourge on the way to start cleaning up that pack of Corsairs. There's one hope for Mini here, and that's if he can somehow kill enough of these Overlords over and over again that Hero cannot produce, and there's 5 cannons going to be totaled in the natural. He thinks about diving on top of the first one and thinks better of it due to being Overlord blocked right now. Maybe just breaking the wall would be a much smarter play from him. This does allow Mini to not only stabilize but put on a bit of pressure onto Hero and able to produce.
There's a good chance that we end up seeing lurkers made here in a moment. He's got to spend his money somewhere. Lurker upgrade is a great place to put that cash.
Yeah.
In a situation like this, a bunch of overlords and lurker upgrade on the way, and with the number of zealots that have died so far, and the slowness of Templar, Dragoons, and any other gas units because of how much gas has been spent on Corsairs and these extra Stargates, it's going to be hard for him to get out here, get a Robo out, and break some sort of containment. Now he's going to push forward with some Zealots. Not all the Hydras are fighting together. He's actually busy back at home dealing with the Corsairs that are killing Overlords, so he ends up losing a few Hydras for free there. But I expect any moment we're going to see Lurkers start to be morphed out in the front, and Mini is going to end up getting contained.
Yeah, there's just too much gas invested in these Corsairs that the Lurker contained becomes not only a threat, but maybe a likelihood. And with not that much Storm to break out, you're kind of feeling a little bit crippled as Mini. He's so banked on killing Overlords with these Corsairs right now. If he doesn't manage to keep up some kind of pressure and Hero can just macro to his heart's content, there's not really any way for him to shut down Hero, both in terms of crippling his economy or defending against his potential contain here that's coming up.
It's a lot of Hydras. That is a lot of Hydras coming out. Managing to slip a DT on the map. At least he'll be able to potentially contest a base coming up in the top left. Also sending a probe down to bottom right.
That's good.
If Hero doesn't scout that and 6 cannons end up on that high ground, being built on that high ground, the containment won't matter nearly as much if he's got a little outpost down there.
Yeah, that's actually really great from Mini. He's doing everything that he needs to come back in this game. Hero is on the hunt for that DT, though Mini has been smart enough to hide that at that 4th base location. Maybe it can deny the 4th going up, even if it can't get in here to the 3rd. Oh, he's going to find the drone. He gets it.
Big kill there, slowing down that 4th base and drawing all of Hero's army over here to the left-hand side. At the same time, taking this base in the bottom right and pushing forward. Here comes some Scourge, going to scout this base, I think, just now. Does see it, the cannons going up on high ground, but can't even rotate from top left all the way down to this bottom right to stop the base before cannons finish? I don't think so.
Yeah, it might not be possible. This is one of the issues with this map. It's just so hard to get your army from one lane to another. It's going to try and get on top of these Hydras before the Lurker can burrow. There is just enough Zealots here to bully these Hydras back, even though there's a subterranean spines hitting them. Some micro by morphing Hydras into eggs was attempted by Hero, but it wasn't good enough. Pretty good job there from Mini to siphon off some of those count of Hydra. Has also bought him enough time for these High Templars to get into the high ground on this 3rd base. Now he can defend. Cannons on the ramp, Zealots blocking the ramp, and High Templars to storm. That's a really hard base to crack.
Ooh, the 3rd base is now fully online for Mini, and Hero's only just now started to set up his 4th base. That DT is still alive as well. Could come in for some more harassment here soon. Meanwhile, a bunch of Zealots getting on top of these right-clicked Hydras. Some Hydras go down, some Zealots end up falling as well. Mini is trapped in this base, but with that extra 3rd down in the bottom right, it's not so much of a problem. Hydra's trying to come up this ramp. There are so many Templars, though, with Storm here. 3 Templars with Storm. Easily going to be able to hold off everything running up this ramp. My God, the meat grinder here is insane. Hero just trying to run up this ramp. I can't believe he's trying to make this happen, Shun. This is crazy.
I mean, he might just barely break through because of sheer mass of Hydras, but at what cost, saying? At what cost? He's going to be crippled in terms of his army supply. He might just bet. If there's no way he can hold off Mini from being able to move out and challenge this still. He needs to snipe this Nexus and kill it to make that even remotely worth it. And even then, there's a risk of a counterattack bowling him over now. Mini's going to surge up in supply advantage soon if he's not careful. So far, so good for Hero, though. He has got quite a lot of hatcheries churning out units. So if the macro cycles don't slip and he stays on top of things, kills this Nexus, and prevents any damage from his counterattack in the way of killing his 4th, he'll be fine still. But he's still got to maintain everything I've just said.
Yeah, this is going to be a little tough. He threw away a huge amount of forces. However, looking at the supply overall, Hero has done fantastically. This is what happens when you're not able to pressure Zerg early on. He was sending in those Zealots and getting poor trades And it just allowed Hero to make so many early drones that his economy is really unmatchable by what Hero's put together. He's going to take a third base. He's going to try and push up here, but he's 10 supply behind. And so even with great storms, there's a good chance that Hero comes up, completely surrounds this. He's moving army around this to go ahead and hit that third base at the same time. Could potentially come up and cut off the retreat of this army with even more forces coming across the map. Hero is completely outdoing Mini in this game.
With great storms comes great responsibility, saying he needs to also not just throw them out onto storm dodging hydras and getting the best connections possible. And when he's this far behind in supply, they have to be perfect storms, and he's not been able to find them, unfortunately. Good job from Hero, fighting on two fronts now with the high ground control and coming in from the pincer from the right. We'll be able to not only deny this third, but clear up the Dragoon count pretty easily here. It's not about winning the fights, it's about sniping High Templars, sniping Dragoons, and preventing them ever reaching a critical mass to overwhelm you later on. And now there's a 30 supply advantage for Hero, so he's basically been able to maintain control over this game state the entire time, even though there was a tiny window where maybe Mini could have started to come back. He wasn't able to find it.
I'm still kind of shocked about Hero breaking into bottom right and how much he threw away to make that happen. Turns out it was still worth it, that his lead was that good, that his position was that good, his macro so strong in this game. He's going to try and come up this ramp now. I'm not sure if that's going to be advisable. Pretty kind of lazy storm there, missing a lot of those hydras. And there are so many forces down here to deal with. Is he just going to run directly up this ramp? A big storm right there. Hits so many lurkers, but it just doesn't even matter. He's got so much stuff. He breaks up the ramp regardless. Hero takes down Mini, the guy who carried Protoss through the last couple of weeks, has now been taken down. Only Best remains. And Hero will go on to face JYJ or Rush. That's coming up next.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's get it.
I need to cross off a name here.
정말입니다. 이거는 이제 제 피셜입니다. 여러분이 사랑을 해주셔야지만이 여러분의 위력을 보여주셔야만이 티정체는 부활할 수 있습니다. 그게 바로 추천 뭐 등등 이런 게 다 지표입니다. 지표. 팬가입도 많이 부탁드리고요. 자 오늘의 폴스타에서의 5경기입니다.
Love to see Hero doing well. This guy, someone who absolutely deserves a victory in the ASL at some point. I don't know if it'll be this season though, Shun. There are so many good names this season.
Yeah.
So many good players I could name that have an opportunity or are in the running for that ASL title. It's kind of a scary season overall. I think this is probably the season that Sulky is most likely to get dethroned in.
I think so. I think that's a very astute observation, saying, and there is a few StarCraft 2 guys in there, has some wild cards, making it spicy. I think we're going to have a very interesting ASL, and I think there's going to be some very, very intriguing narratives as the season develops, because there's just so many crazy interesting players in there and such a balanced lineup, like 9 Protoss, 10 Terran and 9 Zerg, so very balanced list of players as well.
I always get these comments on my YouTube videos about this race is imbalanced or that race is too strong based on ASL finals results, but if you look at these rosters and how closely balanced they are, I think that really tells a better story than just who wins a season, because there's always those outliers, right?
Yeah.
But looking at the overall landscape, I think we find ourselves in a very balanced situation between all three races.
Yeah, I agree. And we're going to see a 2.5 hatch here from Hero, allowing him to have a little bit more lava available to him to macro up, and you expect that on a map like Polestar. It's probably the biggest. Oh, catching that SEV is nuts. Really lucky that he managed to line up the Lings popping down the ramp with that SEV showing up. Rush should have been on top of things more, wasn't paying attention in that moment and caught him off guard, and 2 volleys from those Lings will easily chew down enough of that HP of the SEV that it can't any longer escape due to the acceleration time of its speed. So this is looking really good for Hero already, not only shaving off a worker but denying scouting information. There's no way that Rush can now depend that it's going to be a 2.5 hatch, like, even though it is going to be a macro play from Hero. He's worried that there could be some early aggression.
Well, with the wall in being what it is, I think Rush is still going to feel okay. This SCV making its way out onto the map as well is going to provide that much needed scouting information. And you can see as he gets in here to the natural, Rush is feeling confident at least to move out and try and snipe a Ling. He almost gets one. And he's going to keep moving forward here. He should be turning around though shortly, as the map is still a big scary place for a Terran player in this initial stage of development. He has thrown down a second Rax in his main base. His Lings are going to run by, and 2 Marines here is all he has in the natural. That's a very good position, though. Really good control there to pull those Marines back and get into such a spot that the Lings are not able to trade efficiently. Hero just has to run away and bide his time, get some Lings out, or get a sunken colony down at this natural.
Yeah, as I was saying earlier before I was rudely interrupted by Hero playing so good, this map is basically the best macro map we've had since Radiant. So we'll probably see a much more macro-orientated builds from most players on this map, unless it is going to be a cheesy play and pretending to be more standard to kind of catch each other off guard with that. But the optimal play is going to be standard. And these Naked Marines could do a lot of damage with the Lings chasing the SEV. This is kind of a little bit of a mistake from Hero. He has got 2 Lings here underneath the Overlord, but it's not going to be enough. He will lose at least 2 drones, and that's not good at all. 3 so far, 4, maybe even 5. Gets all of the drones, saying that's a big win for Rush.
Ooh, that was so much damage there. Chasing down the wrong thing there. Hero losing track of where the Naked Marines were headed, and he ends up paying a massive price. Rush patting himself on the back there after dealing such a massive amount of damage. He's going to be sitting pretty going into this mid game. All he needs to do is defend properly, and he should be at an kind of an insurmountable economic advantage still. Hero is a beast. We can't count him out. Maybe he can put together enough of a response, a counterattack, or drone through this desperate period into the later game. Let's see what he pulls out here.
Well, the main issue is that Hero can no longer just go straight up to like 7 mutas right away and start sniping SEVs. So there's like a small breathing room for Rush where he doesn't quite have to have as sharp of timings on his turrets. So he should be able to get a little bit more wiggle room in his macro going forward. Eventually he will still have to play more or less a normal game against Hero, where Hero still has a good chance at winning, but Hero won't have the same kind of potency of punching power in those first few precious seconds as the mutas would arrive. Instead only having like 5 or 4 or so, and then not able to punish any SEVs building turrets or getting some economic leeway in this game.
For sure. He's got a little bit of a breathing room here. It seems that Hero has decided to add some more drones before getting into the Mutalisk, and so is arriving a full 30 seconds late. I was thinking the possibility was there that Hero could have just abandoned the hope of getting a full-on economic game going and just gone directly into a bunch of mutas and kept his economy really low, but he's actually getting in here. Even with the low number of mutas he's managed to put together initially, he's picked off a surprising number of SCVs by running by into the main with those Lings and comboing them with the 5 mutas he's put together. Like you said, not getting that full 7 to get the one-shots going, but the Lings running in actually added on to that DPS and made this dive worth it. Really good control there from Hero, making up some of that deficit.
Yeah, I'm getting some chills saying that was like championship way of thinking. Like he knows he can't get the prerequisite of 7, so he goes for a little Zergling hit squad as well to support those 5, and it actually pays off a lot here against Rush. The supplies look pretty tidy as well for Hero, not falling too far behind the curve of the game. 3rd going up in the bottom right as well. If he can keep shaving off this Bioforce and not allowing a critical mass of Bio to be reached for Rush, he's going to be feeling so happy about this game.
So far, Rush keeping his Bioforces really tight and is going to be reinforcing this a couple of times before moving out fully. The 4 racks is in full effect, and a factory is coming, so transition will be on the way. A bunch of sunken colonies being made. We're going to see a full dive from Hero while building a huge amount of sunken colonies back at home. Can he put up enough sunken colonies to hold back Rush? While these mutas deal their damage, he's diving back into this natural. Once again, he's killed almost all the turrets. He's going after that last one. Sunkens haven't started. Those sunken colonies need to start right now. He cannot delay any further.
Yeah, he was waiting till the last possible second. Overlords were tracking the bio in the center of the board, making sure they were actually heading to the natural, and it's got the timing kind of identified. If he stims, though, he might be able to catch the Sunkens just before they morph, but not quite. He had to stim while running all the way to the natural to get there in time, and didn't actually pull that trigger, so Hero had the timing mapped out pretty perfectly to finish up right as they arrived. Still, though, there's a chance of breaking through with target fire, because there's so many medics healing. It's not enough help from the mutas yet. They finally show up, and now he should be able to gun down this Bioforce, and just barely bought enough time to sandbag these bio units with these Sunkens that Hero now should be able to not only clean up, but be in a very commanding position.
Wow, this is fantastic decision making out of Hero, pulling back those mutas at the perfect time, getting just as much damage as he could without allowing Rush to break through his natural and deal damage back to him. He's lost the sunken colonies, but those sunken colonies did their job. They did what they were meant to do, and they're no longer needed here. The mutas are now across the map, dealing more damage in the SCV line. I think Hero's given himself a really good chance, probably the best chance possible to make this game into a win after such a difficult opener.
Yeah, this is really exceptional play from Hero to go from such an early deficit. That was 5 drones going down early to Rush. I mean, that's usually game-ending damage for most Zergs. It's considered critical. So the fact that he's come back into this game in such a strong way makes me feel so confident about his ASL run potential. Finally, I think this man may get the mantle that he deserves, and it's been stolen from him so many times. Doing a cleanup with his Mutaling as well. Very Solkier style. The Valkyrie, though, going to be making the trades a little bit less in his favor. Has to evacuate. Now Rush has a little bit more potential and breathing room to come out onto the map. Valkyries does basically increase your timers by at least a factor of a minute, so that you can put more pressure onto the Zerg before Defiler timing is finished up and ready.
Definitely doesn't help you against Lurker. However, Hero doesn't seem like he has Lurker ready yet. In fact, he's so far away from Lurker, he's going to start throwing down sunken colonies at that bottom right. Those Sunkens don't really cover the hatchery.
Right.
It's a position where you're not going to be able to save yourself with sunken colonies generally. And so this is real desperation mode for Hero. Throwing down 3 Sunkens at bottom right. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. And it may just lead to a victory here for Rush. Hydra is out, but there's no chance he's going to have a Lurker on that high ground. He must have misstepped accidentally. Oh no, there's a Lurker egg being made there now. He does have a Lurker egg on the way, and he is going to be able to push this back. I can't believe Rush isn't going to go around this hatchery and just start hitting it from the bottom side, but Lurkers are now done, and so he will fall back, regroup, and get ready for the next stage of his plan.
He's worried about not being able to execute that appropriately, and then getting counterattacks like this after the bioballs dealt with from the Lurkers hatching. Does actually catch the Valkyries in transition right now. This is actually pretty good for Hero, siphoning these off for pretty much not for free. He took a lot of HP damage, but honestly that's about as cost efficient as you can kill those Valkyries without just losing a lot of Scourge for it.
I did end up connecting with some Scourge on the first Valkyrie, really reducing the overall DPS from that Valkyrie. Number 3 is the count where it gets super scary.
Yeah.
where you can just lose your entire Mutalisk flock to just one big volley or two big volleys. So getting rid of that first one allows him to just straight up fight the remainder of the Valkyries, and now he's removed that anti-air threat, and he's set up his defenses back at home. Hero can macro into a fourth hatchery and look to take this game late, as he did versus Sock. Wait, did I get that wrong? Did he play against Sock?
I don't know right
I think
now.
he did.
Not sure.
Well, we both have the memories of hamsters. It is what it is, boys. We've got Hero here, macroing his way into the late game. He's got his double upgrades rolling, not quite as fast as he did against Sock earlier. Yeah, I remember now. He had that very quick evolution chamber, and he managed to get ahead of those upgrades. I don't think that's going to be the case here against Rush, though.
Oh, yes, I know what game you're talking about. No, yeah, he got absolutely devastated. He did not have... I think he was even, like, behind the curve of the carapace. So not only was he behind in terms of not being ahead, he was not even... He's having to play catch-up as well. So that you don't want to be in that place as Terran. You always need to be ahead about at least 30 seconds. There's an attack timing where you can come in and pressure the Zerg before their upgrades come online, and for the Zerg you'll want to hit the Terran as soon as yours come online, so that there's as much of a window as possible before their next upgrade finishes. Hero, though, he's looking very masterclass so far. Like, he's very composed and is recovering games that I don't think any other Zerg, besides maybe Soulkey in the past, would be able to recover from. He's making it look easy, like a jazz musician right now.
Well, if you think this is impressive, you gotta go and watch him versus Royal in his Soup Duel series games. He brought back some things that really should never be possible. I won't say anything more.
Okay.
But you absolutely have to go and watch that. It was so insane. I think my jaw was on the floor for most of that game. Now, we're going to have to retreat back up onto the high ground. Hero, he doesn't have the muscle just yet to push down here. He tried to make it work with the Defiler and a couple of Lurkers, but too many Irradiates coming out here. Hasn't managed to pick off any vessels just yet, so Rush is actually going to be able to deny that for now. Also sending over some Marines to this third base, making sure that that is properly secured. Another mistake that Sock made that Rush is going to avoid in this game. Keeping these mutas very active, though. Getting value out of them that most players would never. Hero displaying some really good control with his mutas and excellent tactical gameplay as he moves forward to take a different fourth base. He's actually going to try and take this fourth over at center left, Shun. I don't know if Rush is going to catch on to this too quickly.
Yeah, maybe not. And he's only on 1-1 upgrade still, so not really having the punching power that he should with this army at 15 minutes 30. Maybe a little bit slow in those upgrades, hoping for some early game success and not able to find it. Now is no real way of stopping Hero from taking this fourth base position. Down here in the bottom right, has got enough forces to kind of push out and plague and swarm whatever to his heart's content, so there should be no way of Rush breaking through there unless there's a mistake from Hero where there's a Defiler gets irradiated and it's not replaced. As long as Hero dots his I's and crosses his T's, he should more or less go undeterred and getting that fourth base online in the bottom right. Oh, there's a round of fire bats coming, so now he can push under the swarm if there wasn't too many lurkers, especially with D-Matrix on those bats, can still break through these tight positions that seem immortal, but I don't think that Rush is going to have enough forces to achieve that still.
Well, the thing is, when you're this low on lurkers and you've been constantly irradiated over and over again, it's so tempting to stack your lurkers up so that they can't all be irradiated at the same time. And when you end up stacking up your lurkers, then Firebat with D-Matrix can actually kill all the lurkers in the stack at the same time. It's so powerful, and it might end up coming to fruition here. Rush is keeping those Firebats out of range of vision. He's hiding them for the time being. He's not got a lot of energy on these vessels, but he's going to hit that 100 here pretty soon. He just needs to wait a little bit longer. Another irradiate or another plague goes down, and that Vessel is going to go ahead and find the Irradiate here. No response from Hero. He hasn't been very good about picking off these vessels so far. Every time they've come forward, hasn't really been challenged. +2/+2 is done. He's behind +1/+1. There it is. That's what you want to see as a Terran player. You want to stay ahead in those upgrades, and you really should be able to. 4 dropships going to come out. I bet he hits with these drops as he goes into the natural with a bunch of D-Matrix Firebats. That's going to be incredibly difficult to hold.
I would love to see that, Say. And there's only like 2 or so lurkers down there. Oh, he's actually going to swing around with those dropships to the bottom left while punching into the natural. One vessel does go down. He sees exactly what is there to defend. Now he's being a little bit indecisive with those. I think he's just maybe grabbing a few more Firebats or something and figuring out exactly what he wants to do. Shuffles over his army to this bottom left quadrant as well to kind of do the same tactic but in a different location, maybe diving into the main base while assaulting the natural here.
I can't believe he's going into this base. There's so many Scourge available. So many Scourge available. A lot of them are going to get big connections here. There's Mutas, there's Lings everywhere. Why did he go in here? Oh my gosh.
Did he scan here?
Yeah, he scanned. He saw everything. Look at the bottom right. There's nothing along the perimeter. He could have gone for a dive into there while putting the pressure into the natural over at this base. Would have been so much more effective, but in the end, he will clear out that 5th over at center left. Just, he lost so much in those dropships, and that is such a massive blow.
It's like Hero just sees inside his mind or something. Like he had everything to defend drops in the bottom left and only like bare minimal in the bottom right. That would have been way more successful going off in the bottom right. And unfortunately, Hero just knows how Rush thinks. And now I don't know if Rush is going to be able to figure out how to deal with this game state, because is now in the late game phase and his win conditions are drying up and his win percent as well with it.
A lot of ultras are starting to pop out. +2/+2 is done. Should have +3 here finishing up soon for Rush, but if there's a small window where the upgrades are even, these ultras might be able to exploit it. So many Lings are being made. Hero actually at a advantage in terms of his supply for the moment, and there's nothing containing him over his natural, by the way.
Yeah.
He can start to send out defilers and stuff, get out on the map and just send them around to start to deal damage. This is a great position on the high ground, though. Oh my gosh, you're never getting in there with that army, but a big plague goes down on a lot of this. Rush is finally lapsed in attention, and Hero manages to get a beautiful plague. The Ultras are going to come down from the north and clear this out. Now the Mutas can come forward to deal with these vessels. Such a beautiful 1-2-3 punch combination from Hero to knock Rush on his butt. Here comes another drop into the natural, but how much damage can it do? There are so many Lings here to start cutting this down, and Lurker as well, but this is actually doing better than I thought. Oh, it's 2 drops. It actually looked like 1 there for a moment.
2.
Here comes some Ultras.
Yeah, 2 drops, putting out enough DPS here that he can gun down the Nidus, and with the tight air surface area, can kill some of these Ultralisks as well. Eventually, we'll clean up the Bioforces, but not before doing a little bit of a dent into Hero's infrastructure there. This double expansion from Rush will begin to pay dividends. It's necessary for his lifeline in this game, but it doesn't put him into a great game state still. Like, Hero is ahead by 30 supply. Rush, though, might have some potential in maybe killing this base in the bottom right, and limiting the options for Hero, and the gas income could be huge while he's got his own 2 bases up. Hero's checking the top left. He's expecting a top left base being taken right now, but there's nothing up there, so even though Rush isn't successful in breaking through, at least he's not taking too much damage elsewhere. But with the supply count difference, I can't see Rush coming back in this game without some kind of miracle.
Yeah, this is looking desperate now for Rush. Like you said, even though he has 4 bases, there's so much map control for Hero. Losing that size of army that cleanly, he lost so many Marines and so many vessels there to a great surround, plus the plague, plus the Darkstorm getting on top of everything. He hardly was able to trade out his units there efficiently. And so Hero, his supply lead grows exponentially. He gets his fourth gas online, or fifth gas online, excuse me, as his next upgrade finishes. I think Hero's going to prepare an inevitable army that will just crush through whatever Rush has remaining. He's actually taking a fight right now, and Rush is sending in some forces to hit this fifth base. He might actually get that. Shocking that this was not picked up on by Hero, and he's going to get it. Oh my goodness, he gets that base. That's such a big moment.
Yeah, that's pretty big deal. If he can somehow kill this other hatchery in the bottom, right, that puts Hero back on 3 gases, which will be, a couple will be depleted soon. That's actually a pretty big news for Rush. That gives him a much more fighting chance in this game if he can somehow kill this hatchery. But so far, Hero doing a good job of rallying enough units over to this location that he can't quite break through deep enough to kill that hatchery. Some of these vessels are getting sniped by Scourge as well. Hero doing a good job of targeting the low HP vessels to make sure that the vessels are actually dying. Cleaning up those vessels and keeping them in a low enough count does basically reduce the main fighting force of the Terran player. The Marines are more like supporting units, and the vessels become your main fighting force at certain phases of the game. The irradiates are just that important.
And where is that 80 supply? Where's there's like 90 supply missing from Hero's army. Where is all that stuff?
I mean,
I
like
see
70
2 ultras
drones
on the screen.
Yeah, he must have like 70 drones and a lot of army that's not even here, just like anti-drop defense, just chilling back at home.
I feel like there's a huge massive white in the bottom left. You see all of that stuff?
Yeah.
Kind of clustered around the hatchery?
Yeah.
Is there like a 100 or 50 supply army sitting down in that base just not doing anything? It's finally gonna come out here, and GG is called. Rush taps out, and Hero continues his rampage. Oh, he is impressing me so much right now. This is just this is a next level of Hero that we've yet to see.
Man, yeah, Hero's doing amazing. Give me a sec though, I need a bio break. But this is my guy. This is like the guy I want to win this season. I've been thinking he's been deserving for a long time. If he doesn't make it, it's going to be sad. Now, this is the one time where Sulky's playing worse. Flash isn't here yet. This is the time for him to get his championship. I want him to get it so bad. I'll go back.
I think you're right.
Yo. You there?
Oh, yo.
What's up?
So,
You ready?
yeah. I'm ready.
Let's get it.
3주 연속 우승의 견인을 좀 할 것인가? 오늘 난이도로 봤을 때는 저번 주만큼이나 힘들어 보여요.
아니 그 여러분 제가 오늘은 처음에 시작할 때 오늘은 도변이 있으니까
The final hope here for Protoss. Best spawning over in the center right. We've got Hero down in the bottom left. Apologize for our lack of memory there in the last cast, but you've got to forgive us. So many games we're casting lately, and we're going to be casting a lot more coming up here. That being said, should mention, Chun is going to be hopping on the SDS tomorrow. We're going to be casting together as a thank you, a reward for all of you there who supported that stream. We're going to be casting Solkey versus Snow, a best of 7 for $500. That's going to be so much fun, Shun.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, Sane. And thank you guys so much for your support. We would like to see that continued, and we will be happy to keep bringing you more and more great content over the weeks, months, and years to come. I can't even imagine how much StarCraft we're going to end up casting, but I'm all for it, Sane.
I mean, the list, yeah, just keeps getting longer and longer. We've got ASL. We've got the SCSL International, the Soup Duel Series, and KCM. So far, guys, that's what we've got. But we're super happy to have this opportunity and to watch some of these great games like this one we're getting into right now. Best. Gonna be throwing down a gateway first. Oh, that's another thing. The voice. Gotta learn how to control that voice. Starting to lose it.
You've been doing a lot, buddy. You've been doing a lot. Yeah, you gotta take a little rest here. Let me talk for a few seconds. You'll be all right. I don't know, man. Like, I really do want Hero to win this season of ASL. I'm not even going to try and hide my bias during this ASL. I'm just going to come out and say I want that guy to win because he deserves it. He's always come short by very slight hairs of factors and, you know, only just barely losing out his series in, like, mirror matchups like against Solkey and what have you. So, been a long time coming for this guy to finally get his title. He definitely does deserve it. He's playing at a really high level right now. Whether or not he can actually make that happen is another matter. I mean, Solkey might not be playing the best. Flash is still not around. There is still hope for him to secure that title, I would say.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree with you. Hero has brought us so many great games over the years, and I really feel like we're seeing a level of Hero that we just haven't had thus far. There's something different about this guy right now, and I hope he can continue that vibe into the ASL. He's been there so many times before. It's not really going to be a nerves thing. It's just a bit of luck and being in the right place at the right time, getting the right matchups, you know, having the right mentality on the day, you know, getting into his zone, getting into his flow state at the exact right time. It's so much about that mental aspect in Brood War.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much comfortable on stage for these usual line of suspects. It's mainly the nerves in terms of the mental game in handling each individual series. In terms of how calm you are up on stage, as long as they've been at the event enough times, the pro gamers have talked about it a lot. They're pretty comfortable with it. It's only these newer guys that haven't really had a run in the ASL before that maybe might, you know, crumble under pressure because they're just not used to being up on stage. But for anyone else, it all comes down to that mental game.
Absolutely, and it is such a poker game. StarCraft at the highest level. If your bluffs end up not working out, make a couple of mistakes. I've seen Hero do some wild things too. You know, he takes some crazy risks, which is the sign of a championship level player. Sometimes you gotta throw out those risky plays Sometimes they don't pay off, and you can end up putting yourself in a really rough situation where if you hadn't taken those risks, you might have been able to win.
Right.
But you kind of have to throw out those risky plays every once in a while, or you'll get too predictable. Now, Best has moved around with these Zealots in kind of an unpredictable fashion. However, Hero is now aware of that. He's seen it. He knows that 4 Zealots are heading into this base. He's got the links with the speed. Can he block this without taking too much damage? Let's see.
Yeah, it needs to just drill around these drones a little bit and minimize the lost mining time while also still keeping them ready to respond to the Zealot threat. Beautiful surround from Hero, denying the retreat to the ramp. That is so cost efficient and beautiful. I cannot even begin to explain.
Wow. I mean, mirroring that game versus Mini. Just so well handled there. Every Zealot just getting completely surrounded, never allowing these Zealots to hide. Look at the spread on the Lings as he searches around the map too.
I'm getting chills.
Hero's on another level. 400 APM as he spams out these Lings across the map to check every single little corner for that one stray Zealot that might be coming. Yeah, chills, man. This guy is killing it.
Yeah, he's going to be surging up into 6-hatch Hydra production. Has got a second gas coming online, so there is still a threat of an Ogre Zerg as well that Best has to respect. He's not going to be feeling comfortable in any sense of the word, both because of how many Zealots he's lost, and because he's not going to be able to do anything about what Hero wants to do next. It could be a mass Hydra follow-up. This could be a bit of an Ogre Zerg. He can even take his 3rd gas now if he so choose. There's so many range of play that could come from Hero. Even just a straight up solid macro game is not going to be favoring Best here. He's feeling so uncomfortable.
Absolutely. He really doesn't have a leg to stand on right now. He's going to be building up this Corsair count and trying to predict or trying to prevent everything that could come out of Hero. Putting a cannon there in the main. He has to prepare for a lot, and Hero is just macroing like crazy. He's getting so many drones out because he knows that Best really can't aggress upon him at the moment. He needs to wait for a critical mass of Corsairs and Zealots. That +1 is also so key to this next move out. So he's added on as many drones as possible, and now he's going to start to finally pump out those Hydras, threatening the counterattack here as well, forcing some of these Zealots back. He might dive on those 2 Zealots now that they've left the wall as well. He's just doing so many good things here. It's hard to keep up with everything that Hero is doing correctly in this game.
No, it really is wild. Like he's keeping so many plates spinning that usually you can't even handle doing all that. Like even like chasing the Zealots with the Scourge to keep track of them 24/7, darting back and forth with the Lings to engage potential Zealots from the rally points. We can't meet up all of his army, and now beautiful chase micro hunting down these individual Zealots and not allowing any critical mass to be reached. There is a Dark Templar here to ward away these Hydras. He has to run away finally while these Corsairs start to go to town on these Overlords. Best is hoping for a bit of a gambit here. Maybe somehow I can supply block Hero and start to come back in the economic curve of this game, but it's not going to be so easily dealt with, I think, for Best here. He's going to have to retreat with his infantry force, and he's not doing enough damage back at Hero's home.
Overlord speed is done as well, so this DT has a low possibility of sneaking past, but there is still that chance. Best will be looking for any opportunity that Hero is out of position. Maybe he can get in there, do some damage. Hero, however, with about 3 groups of Hydras, maybe more like 2, ready to start pumping drones once again. He's feeling safe and secure. He has the Overlords available now to unsupply block himself. There's that massive wave of drones as he takes his 3rd gas, and it gets into this 6 hatchery Hydralisk economy in full now.
Yeah, he doesn't really need to make any more drones until he's in a much more commanding position later on. Just pure Hydra production will be coming out of Hero, and there'll be just so many Hydras, there won't be enough Storms available to deal with it. Still trying to snag a few of these Overlord kills. If he can interrupt the production cycles of Hero just a little bit here, that will mean like maybe one control group of Hydras isn't quite ready to lay assault to him. Maybe there's still some hope for him coming back in this game, is what Best is thinking, and trying to do the runaround on on these maps to buy as much time as possible, just for the Templar energy to get to a higher threshold. So there's more and more storms available. He needs almost perfect storms, but with good storm dodging and good macro here from Hero, it's going to be so difficult to weather this game state for Best. He has got enough Corsairs to kind of pin down Hero for the time being, but it won't be long until Hero is going to feel confident enough to come out onto the map.
Getting into double evolution chamber now. Hero is getting prepared for the next stages of this game. Going to take his fourth base here pretty soon, either at that top left or maybe the mineral only. As he switches into Lurker, he will be able to get up to that fourth base and potentially drone up to 55. That's the key number on a 4-base economy. With about 7, 8, 9 hatcheries, you can start to really hammer out the Lurkers and Lings as you transition into Hive. We're going to be taking this late, and I don't see a third base in the works here for Best. He hasn't even moved to Probe yet. He has a really nice, easy third base that he could take, but he's actually catching some Hydras out in the middle of the map. He's split up the army of Hero, and he's picked off the Overlords that were flying overhead, so the DT is going to be a little bit of a threat now once again. This is a little bit sloppy from Hero as he backs away, but behind this, he's got plenty more Hydras ready. Oh gosh, he's not moving his Hydras. Oh no, a bit of a mistake here from Hero, not reacting with the Hydras. He loses a few extra Overlords that he really shouldn't have.
Yeah, it was a beautiful wedge from Best to both drive apart the army of the Zerg and then open up the natural for further assault from these Corsairs. Best is doing the right things to come back in this game. He's still not quite out of the woods yet, but he's making this game state more and more playable as the seconds tick by. Just maybe there's some hope in a comeback potential for this guy. You're now going to be securing his third Nexus at this mineral only. So many Lurkers are being morphed, though. You have to think there's no hope of breaking Hero anytime soon. But we will have to transition into this Hive if he doesn't want to kill this third base. You kind of like kill the third by staying Battle Zerg, or you go into your own Hive tech as the next phase.
I think we're going to see Hive Tech here out of Hero. He is so good with those units, but this group of Hydras has been sitting in the main base for a long time, prepared for this drop from Best, which is going to come in here now and try to deal some damage, but that's way more than enough Hydras. He's just going to shut this down easily as long as he targets the DT first. There it is. Yeah. DT's gone. Zealots get taken down. Corsairs might get a couple of kills, but he targets down some of them. However, he has pulled back a lot of his Hydras. Where are these Hydras? Actually, they're in the middle of the map, and he's abandoned his Lurker position. Uh-oh, Bass is getting in here. He's dealing so much damage with just a couple of storms and getting up on top of this high ground. This is really, really rough for Hero. He's going to come from a lot of different angles, but he's opening himself up to some big storms as he rushes forward. Can Hero surround and kill this army? It's looking a bit grim here as Best takes some of the best trades possible with these storms. Oh my goodness. Has Hero completely fallen apart? Best just running in at a perfect timing here with the distraction tactic in the main. It didn't look like it was working too well, but Hero moved his Hydras into a bad position, and now he's falling apart here, Shun.
Best is one of the best in the business at these comebacks, saying pun intended. I mean, what can you say about this guy? He always makes the most unplayable game states end up looking like this. It's kind of wild to think about. I don't know, there's something going on in that brain of his where he just thinks about the game differently, but he makes the square peg fit through the circle hole every single time. GG called from Hero. Really well played from Best to turn an almost terrible game state into such a commanding victory like that. Really impressive stuff.
Oh no, Shun. Don't tell me that Hero's going to make a mistake like that in the ASL as well.
I hope not.
Everything looking perfect. Pristine play from Hero. Playing absolutely out of his mind at the tip-top level. And then makes a mistake like that, sending his Hydras away and allowing his Lurker line to be broken. All in one fell swoop. Best takes that game away. Please, tell me it ain't. Say it ain't so, Shun.
I hope it ain't so.
Don't let it happen.
Ready when you are.
All right.
여러분도 다 거기에 지금 토를 안 달고 계시는 게 사실 일반적으로 우리가 스타를 많이
Well, despite our clear bias for hero, it is nice to have an even match now. We've got best, JYJ, and action remaining. One player from each race. And so, as a result,
근데
Zerg will definitely take second place, no matter what happens with this next match.
Yeah, this is the brutal reality of Zerg, unfortunately, saying is the pro gamers have talked about it a bit. If you look at Jin Jin's channel, he's got some good translations showing you what these guys actually think, if you want to go look at that up. But yeah, unfortunately, Zerg, when you lose in spectacular ways, and you look like a real sausage monkey when you do lose in those fashions, and can feel pretty brutal and disheartening as a Zerg player, where you get absolutely devastated despite playing well sometimes. And if you take your eye off the ball for just a moment, it can spell disaster for you. Even so much as like the fundamentals, like you can't cancel your lava and make a new unit if you make the wrong unit. So if you accidentally make drones instead of lings, or lings instead of drones, or whatever the case may be, you can just be outright dead. It's such a hard race to play at the highest echelons. Unfortunately, sometimes even the best of them get absolutely obliterated because of a few oversights.
Yeah, just to be clear, guys, Shun is not saying that you can't cancel your unit, but that you lose larva.
Right.
It's just not acceptable at the highest level. If you're throwing away larva, like, larva is a resource as well. It's not like StarCraft 2 where you can suddenly pop out a lot more larva to make up for, having less larva in the early game. You need every single larva at the highest level is what I'm trying to say. And any cancellation is going to cost you more than just the cancellation cost. The larva cost is huge. And so, yeah, there are some particularities about the Zerg race and what we saw there. That has happened to every one of us who's played Zerg on the ladder. You just move your army out of position for 1 second, and then the right storms hit the right units, and boom, you just lose immediately, even though everything else was done perfectly. It's kind of like a Terran moving out against a Protoss, I guess.
Yeah.
Where you've got this amazing army that you've built up to the entire game, and you've been ahead the entire time, and then a mine connects on 6 of your tanks, and you lose the entire game. It's so frustrating to deal with, and I'm sure that Hero's feeling the frustration after that one.
Oh, it's definitely frustrating for both us watching and for him especially, I'm for sure saying. And we have a bunker expand in our next game here, JYJ versus Best. And a pretty normal, actually not that normal, hang on a minute. Sorry, 17 Nexus from Best. This is like a very interesting way he's opened up, because he took a gateway and a gas here and is mining it, but he hasn't spent anything with this gas. So he didn't like try and get Dragoon range or get a Dragoon out. He actually just threw down the Nexus at 17 supply. I don't usually see this very often. It's usually when you've got an early scout or a tell on the Terran player that you feel safe and you know they're not going to be close positions punishing you. He didn't really have full scouting information to know that, to do that, though. He kind of just did it on a hunch, and he was right.
A little bit safer than the Nexus first, but yeah, you're right. There's quite a big gap here in the defense early for Best. Getting a little lucky when he scouts. He sees that there is a gasless fast expand on the way, and so he will not be punished here. And what is he going to do with all this extra gas? He's got 300 gas built up. I think there was a robo that was just thrown down. He also has range pretty quickly. Maybe he can throw off JYJ, but just having more tech than he expects with all this extra gas.
Yeah. I'm curious to see, will we see some crazy aggression out of Best? He usually plays like one or two ways. It's like a two-base kind of crazy tech-based play where he's trying to be super aggressive to widen his range of play, or he's just going to do the straight-up macro style where I really recommend you guys study him. He's one of the best in the business at just playing in a very simple and easy-to-follow way. Someone like Snow, for example, there's no way you can emulate what Snow does with his Reaver control. There's no point even trying to play like Snow. Whereas trying to learn how to play like someone like Best is going to get you much better results on the ladder, just playing with very strong fundamental decision making and behavior trees with just a straight up strong fundamental style and nothing too fancy.
Yeah, if you try to emulate Best, you're going to find that you have way more units than you even need for most given situations. You're going to have overwhelming forces. The macro side of Best is just so strong, but You can't just play like that all the time and hope to take home an ASL victory. Gotta mix in some wacky play. And Best has mixed in a wacky opener here, but it seems like it's moving towards a more kind of standard mid and late game. He's just going to have a pretty surprisingly fast Reaver coming out after this push, after this damage gets done to the bunker. Best is going to be pushed back, but JYJ might not have his turrets in time. Let's see if he gets these turrets out with mines in time to stop this Reaver or not.
Yeah, it seems like the metagame is shifting more and more, and the Protoss players are starting to think we need to go back to our roots of having these earlier support bay timings and just staying on one gate Robotech and allowing us to get this Reaver out a little bit earlier on, put on some pressure. We used to play like this way back in the day, but it was more of a one base into expansion style. This is much more an economic variant of that, where you're getting the Nexus early on and then getting the fast Reaver. So it kind of gives you like more economic potential going into the mid game without being so far behind the curve if the Reaver doesn't do critical damage. So I do like this play from Best, and the third base timing is on curve. It's just that with that one gateway production, you're just so weak in the early game to any potential shenanigans, so you have to have good scouting information.
Yeah, guys, there's one Dragoon. I'm pretty sure that's all he's got. What are those couple of dots out on the map? We actually haven't seen those for a while. Maybe he's got a couple more Dragoons, but he's making Zealots right now to fill up this shuttle. So, I mean, how many units can he actually have made off of this single gateway at this point? 2 Zealots are made. A Reaver's going to pop out here in a moment. He does have 2 Goliaths, but I don't really see that many turrets right now. JYJ could be in for some damage here. He might be taking some hefty damage as this army comes across the map. Right, there were a few Dragoons there hitting at the front. I apologize, guys. I'm getting a little tired now as we're getting later on into this series. There were a few Dragoons hitting that bunker. I apologize. Let's go into this drop now, see what Best can do.
Yeah, there was a total of 5 Dragoons made, 3 at the front, a couple back at home. Now though, Speed Shuttle trying to come in on the natural expansion, able to do so with that floating barracks and turret in a good position. He does know that the Goliaths are out in front, so maybe if there was not such a good turret positioning and floating barracks, he might be able to just dive in there and get a lot of damage. But so far the setup from JYJ pretty airtight. Scans the main base, going to be identifying those 3 gateways. He doesn't know exactly when they were made, but based on the timing of that Reaver and Shuttle, he probably can figure out roughly what Best is doing here. So he should be able to identify the game state and know that there's a reasonable timed third base here from Best as well, and it's not just some 2-base Bulldog.
Well, the Reaver gets into the back of the main. You can see that JYJ's not fully prepared for this. He does have the Goliaths coming back now. 1 turret goes down. Another turret was prevented from being finished there on the right-hand side. Shuttle's still alive for the time being, getting some kills on these Goliaths. Can he get that secondary kill? Oh, the Reaver is going to go down after the Shuttle. Did he actually had range there on the Goliaths already? That's crazy early range. He went that before mines, I think, here.
Yeah, this is how Flash used to like to play against these fast robos, getting Goliaths instead of too many turrets and then getting the early Karen boosters. It just gives you so much potential in sniping that Shuttle and zoning out the Reaver harass potential. And then you have a counterattack potential, because you don't even need turrets to push. You have the 4 Goliaths to double shot down shuttles as you advance. On this map now, it's been changed. You can't make turrets on this ring anymore. You have to like make the turrets deep inside where the minerals are. So much harder to push out as Terran. So maybe these Goliaths will come in handy here, allowing him to attack Best in that much earlier crisp timing. Shuttle though making his way back down towards the main base.
What is left over here in the main? Only 1 turret I see. Gonna drop the Reaver here once again. Get rid of that turret right away. Dragoon as well available to push back some of these vultures and defend against any cheeky wraith that might come out of JYJ. Reaver is going to last here in the main for quite some time, dealing some big damage to these supply depots and cleaning up some reinforcing vultures that come out to try and stop that as well. Another drop comes out here. Some Zealots most likely going to be bombed on top of a few of these tanks. Zealots making their way to the front. Can he actually break this push? That's a lot of Zealots on top of everything, and there's not many Vultures to actually clear this with the rallies coming forward. Best looking like he's in a good position to break this, and JYJ is going to lose every single tank.
Really nicely done there from Best, and as you can see, nothing too fancy here, just straight up macro. But look at this, the Vultures might be able to get up here. Beautiful play from Best, sending the probe down to build 2 more additional pylons so that the Vultures couldn't get in here, and is going to use a shuttle with Zealot to clean those up. So efficient from Best to avoid disaster. There's so many probes could have potentially gone down.
Absolutely, that could have been massive damage for JYJ, killing off a ton of probes, but Best pulls himself together here, gets those pylons down, and prevents the bust through. Now, what is this? 3 tanks coming up to continue this push?
Yeah.
Best has 2 shuttles. He's got almost as many shuttles as his opponent has tanks, and Zealots in all of them, dropping right on top of all this. The tanks are going to go down immediately. JYJ, is he just going to tap out after losing everything? That's 2 armies in a row that have been cleaned up very efficiently by Best.
That was really beautiful surrounds on those tanks with the Zealots just to lock them down in place and clean them up so handily there. Best is like has a lot of finesse and poise to his normal straight up play, and yeah, this is why you should probably study this guy. He's very clean around the edges in terms of his straight up macro game, and sometimes has really good decision making as well, and has a different way of approaching the game than some of these other Protoss players do, and doesn't necessarily need to ape himself through to victory in the same ways.
Absolutely. It's not like he was doing anything incredibly mechanically difficult either with micro wise difficult with his Reavers or anything like that, just dropping him off in the main, causing a problem, and macroing cleanly behind it to shut down the push. Just good Protoss fundamentals displayed here by Best as he moves out to now try and take another base. Going to be dropping his Dragoon to try and activate these mines, and then using the secondary Dragoon to gun them down. It looks like a probe was blocked from taking a base over there at the center right, but Best is going to move forward to take care of that, clean that out, and get another Nexus going. You can see JYJ is trying to take a base down at bottom center, but man, look at the timer. 12-minute 30, trying to take this 3rd base. He is so far behind curve. Best is running away with this game right now. 60 supply ahead.
Yeah, he is currently doing really good. I don't know how JYJ is gonna like even up that deficit right now. He has got 1 Vulture that barely broke through here. He almost killed that pylon earlier that Best managed to stop, so the other Vultures managed to come in and break that down and get into that natural 3rd, but wasn't able to find the kind of probe damage he was looking for. Even if he did kill like 10 or so probes right now, it wouldn't really put him back into the game. It would just slowly start to even up the game state. So really unfortunate for JYJ going forward. We have a maxed out Best while JYJ is still only on 120 supply. You need at least 140, 150 supply to be able to hold off a full engagement from a maxed out Protoss army. And we see a lot of shuttles ready to dive bomb onto these tank formations as well. Some mines laid in desperation here, barely slowing down the advance of the infantry at Best, but really it's just allowing his army to synchronize even more.
The tanks are not as well split as one might hope either. There's a lot of tanks here stacked on top of each other. Not the greatest bombs from Best. A lot of those Zealot bombs just kind of landing on some open area between the tanks, but there is so much Protoss here. I don't think it's going to matter. Rallies coming across the map. You can see Best getting all of his Zealots across this map so quickly. He's going to have those rallied Zealots already brought to the fore here to start dropping on top of these tanks and dealing even more damage with that splash. Trying to pick off a couple of tanks here so that he can break the position. Almost able to do so. Actually kills off about 4 of those tanks. There's only 1 defending down at that bottom center. JYJ barely managing to hold this all off with that great setup there, but I still feel Best positions. He's looking so damn good with a bunch of Templar coming out as well. Oh, that was a great opportunity to start sniping down those early Templar, but he misses the opportunity. Now he's only going to be able to harass these Zealots, and Best is setting up for another push with some very powerful storms.
Yeah, during these later mid-game stages, usually you'll be able to catch the rally point with almost no Dragoons at it, just like a round of Zealots and some High Templars. So if you can get in there with some Vultures and pick off those units for free, that can be another way of tipping the scales of power back in your favor. We see a Vulture raiding party heading out now, maybe to achieve something like that. At the very least, though, hoping to catch some probe transfers, laying down some mines strategically on the map to both keep an eye on the movements of the armies of Best, as well as buy him some breathing room. But there's 2 speed shuttles coming to 6 o'clock for the actual third right now. Could be killing a lot of workers. There should be enough storm here to cripple this economy. If he doesn't pull these SCVs, he's going to lose so many workers.
Oh, he pulls the SCVs and he still loses all the workers, Shun.
Crazy.
1 worker left at the end of that storm. So much damage done to JYJ's economy. He was busy at that moment trying to throw down mines and getting some value out of those vultures. He's making his way over to the center right now, trying to kill off a few probes, but I don't think any amount of probe damage is going to bring him back into this game. So many SCVs have been lost, and his economy is shattered. His army is tiny. At 100 supply, he's barely able to live, not to mention take more bases.
Yeah, by the way, can I just point out, saying that we were doing a better job of keeping an eye on the action than the Observer was? He didn't even notice those vultures running into that 3 o'clock location. But yeah, there's no way they did enough damage there. I think there's cannons set up and what have you. And killing those shuttles for free might be helpful to JYJ. He might feel like there's a trigger now. Can he push out? If the Best hasn't quite remaxed out quickly enough, maybe there's enough tanks in the meat of my army that I can just push and win right now if Best doesn't have enough time to macro out in the normal fashion that he's able to. He wants to take a greedy 5th base in the bottom right and set up gateways down there eventually, it looks like, but JYJ is in timing to punish this. There might be some hope for JYJ pushing from left to right here.
It is a pretty good position, you have to give him that. Getting up on this high ground, it's hard to bust. But Best has a lot of utility in this army to work with. Storms, drops, huge amounts of Zealots are going to be brought to the fore here. Can he kill this shuttle? Oh, if he got that shuttle, the math is drastically altered in this upcoming fight, but he doesn't kill the shuttle, and so Best will have the availability of those storms for this next battle. JYJ comes forward. He snipes the 2 High Templar there in that army. That's a big moment. His tank count not looking that strong, but he's got a lot of vultures here, and it's a mostly Zealot army what's coming down for Best. There is a good amount of Dragoons over here on the side, some on the right, but the army is split. Can JYJ take the fight of his life and actually win and manage to secure another base here? He is somehow at 150 supply. I don't even know how he got to 160. Catching up almost all the way to Best. Here comes this army. A lot of this stuff kind of filtering in for Best. And the probe transfer as well. What is he expecting? Sending these probes out to bottom right now seems insane. It feels like Best has just lost his mind here for a moment as his Dragoons kind of walk back and forth and allow themselves to get targeted down by a bunch of vultures and tanks. This is a weird situation. What happened?
Yeah, it's very weird. And also those 2 tanks getting right up onto that 3 o'clock, killing so many probes on the exit. Unfortunately, Best kind of getting a little bit too cocky and ahead of himself and didn't really read the situation well enough. He was trying to clear a path for the Zealots in the middle to head to the rally point at JYJ, and then decided to pincer attack the Terran army instead, and didn't understand exactly how deep that formation of units was and wasn't able to do anything about it. Unfortunately, now losing the Nexus to those 2 tanks before getting cleaned up, and we'll also probably lose his Nexus that's getting set up in the bottom right quadrant as well. So we have to now split the map horizontally, which very much favors JYJ. A horizontal split map here is very Terran favored to win.
I'm shocked. Shun, what are we looking at? How is JYJ 30 supply ahead of Best now? There's just one fight there going his way. Is that all it takes? I mean, he was a full 70 supply ahead at one point. 70 supply over JYJ. When he dove in towards that 3rd base, he just barely wasn't able to break it. He did so much damage with the follow-up drop, but he's having such a struggle now. These probes heading up to top left are going to get blocked. The Dragoons are going to rotate around the outside. Now Best needs to play from behind. He's jiving on top. Is he going to engage with the tanks? No, he backs up. Triple shuttle on all of those tanks. There was a good opportunity there to actually wipe out that mass. So many tanks stacked right up on top of each other. I can't believe Best didn't go for it.
Yeah, I mean, there is a slight upgrade advantage for Best at this phase of the game. So it looks like JYJ skimped on his tech and upgrades a little bit just to be able to afford more gateway, more factories, more units, and just by sheer volume of army might be able to overcome Best here and outmuscle him. There are some High Templars that are now being sniped by Vultures as well. JYJ definitely playing more like a champion and fighting back hard here against Best and preventing any kind of comeback potential. Also isolating these Dragoons in the top left. If you can somehow get up here and stop this base from going online, that's going to be lights out for Best. He's desperately trying to get his army shuffled over here. He's got 3 speed shuttles to start dive bombing some High Templars and Zealots on top of his army. Some Psionic Storms coming out, but not the kind of storms you need to trade off an army that is this big as JYJ. Supplies looking a little bit better than they were for a second ago, but still not ideal. Actually currently even on supplies is JYJ right now. Able to put out more and more of a force into the center of the board. He could even expand to this center base for a little bit more life in his macro cycles, getting a bit more minerals. He doesn't have to expand to the bottom right. Could just expand to the center and keep attacking here. But Best is just barely clinging on to this top left quadrant.
Here comes an attack once again. Best gonna push forward, keeping JYJ at least off of this outer ring of the map. That high ground he's still holding is a good advantage. He's swung the supply back into his favor somehow once again. Going ahead of JYJ for the first time in a while. To throw down some storms. But it seems like JYJ is going to be able to get up here, and he's got a lot of mines in the rally, preventing Best from recombining this army. Nice defensive storms, backing up and continuing to lay down storms as JYJ pushes forward. Has he removed enough of this army where he can actually wipe out the tank force, though? JYJ is reinforcing this with a lot of units. He's actually bringing forward, I think, a CC as well to start mining this center.
Yeah,
that center does have a lot of resources, so he will be able to set up kind of an extra base. It's not a full-on base, but he's sort of on 2 bases now.
Yeah, it's basically just a mineral-only expansion, but it allows you to spend your gas. As you can see, JYJ almost has 2,000 gas, but not many minerals, so getting a little bit more juice out of the orange is critical here, so we can actually spend these resources and max out quicker. And killing these probes on the transfer is so big right now. That's one of the things that's keeping him in the game, is that Best wasn't able to get probes up into this top left quadrant of the map, so currently not mining optimally is Best. Just that 1 base worth of economy, really, that's churning away. So now that JYJ has the center of the board, he now has more income than Best, so this is not a tenable game state for Best at all. He has to make something happen. That's why we see this force in this 6 o'clock position, trying to break this expansion while he still can.
Trying his best to get down here with a small contingent of units. Best is going to get into position to harass this, and he's actually forced a lot of tanks down here. He's forced a pretty decent amount of army out of JYJ to move into this position to deal with just a few Dragoons. Is this the opportunity Best has been waiting for to try and break the center? He doesn't have much of an army advantage at the moment. And it doesn't look like he's fully in position to deal with this, but he is moving forward now. Here he comes. He is going to use this opportunity to try and break through. This might be the last hurrah of Best as he shoves into all of these tanks. His Zealots melt, and the tank line is very, very deep. Best will have to back away. This game will continue on, but it's getting harder and harder. Oh, a Templar drop goes off. I don't know how many kills there were. This High Templar, only 1 kill, though. Maybe another one getting some damage because JYJ doesn't have many SCVs over here at all, and he really doesn't have too many SCVs at all.
Yeah, he definitely killed
these remainder of bases.
He definitely killed a chunk of the other High Templar. It might not be enough. JYJ is still even on supply. With this center base, does give him enough juice. Maybe he can still go all the way. And there's not much protecting these High Templars up here. Hardly any Dragoon, almost as many Dragoons as High Templars. It does mean he can skirmish with the Terran player quite heavily, but he's also very vulnerable to Vulture raids. So the Vultures can now just come in and start to kill off these High Templars for free. He has to Storm Blanket the Vultures as well as the tanks to get the most value out of his army. He also has to retreat and buy as much time as possible for this other base to kick in. He's doing a storm follow-up drop at 6 o'clock, though. This is pretty good damage to the economy of JYJ. That's most of the SCVs, but with that center base, he's not out of the game yet. He can still keep going with his army and keep his production. Somehow, maybe Best can make this work, though. He's starting to slip behind in supply, but I think the longer this game goes on, the more it's looking like JYJ should be able to finish this off and get the win, but there is a tiny glimmer of hope here for Best.
I don't know, as Best gets the base in top left online, things are starting to look better for him. He is even on supply, and his army is cut off on the right-hand side. So maybe JYJ can finish right here, right now. If he kills that base in top left, the game is over. 100% it is over. JYJ has a lot of tanks. It's going to be very hard for Best to engage, but as his economy kind of revives here, Best might be able to slip out just enough units to make this work. He does have to pull back his probes, though, and going down to one base is not really tenable for Best anymore.
Yeah, he's got his flank covered with some mines on a bunker as well, while he's laying siege and forcing those probes to stop mining. So back down to one base worth economy is Best. He still has a lifeline in this game, though. These bases are still alive. If he can just hang on for a few more moments and threaten a counterattack in the center, that would be huge. But with how many mines have been laid, JYJ is not as scared of that counterattack as he was a few moments ago. So he's able to get a few units up into that top left to pressure Best. Best now trying to do some desperation moves to clear out a path of attack, and there's so many vultures and tanks here that he may not be successful. This might be the last hurrah of Best. He tries to break through these siege lines, some Sonic Storm blanketing these tanks, but there's not enough meat on the bone for him to chew through all the way.
I can't believe JYJ won this game. It's insane. He's got 1-1 still.
Yeah.
And never invested in those further upgrades. Best has 3-1. And he's not able to break through any of these armies.
He's just barely going to win as well, look.
Oh, it's so close, Shun. It is so close. Zealot's dropping on top of these tanks. He's actually baiting quite a bit of the splash damage into these, and this army is about to get cleared. He doesn't have any storm here. If he had a little bit of storm to throw down on this army, he might actually defeat this. But more reinforcements making their way up into the top left, and this base is going to fall. Only probes at this location. That's the entirety of the economy for Best. He had a ton of probes left over. I think way more probes than JYJ has SCVs, maybe double the worker count. But it's all for naught.
JYJ is almost mined out and barely broke through, with less than a control group's worth of units being the deciding factor here. Just shows you how important trading is in StarCraft. It always does come down to the wire in perfect games like this, where both players are churning out crazy amounts of units and really trying to maximize the optimal game state as possible. GG finally called from Best, and the whole squad is now completely wiped out from Protoss. It's going to be a JYJ action finals decider that I'm super excited about. Don't forget to cross off.
We don't need it anymore.
Yeah, good point, good point. Our final game of the night. We've got JYJ versus Action. And I'm sure we've got some Protoss Maulders in the chat. Go ahead, let it out. But Protoss did do fantastic this week. Truly, some great games out of Protoss. Although they did end up going out first, they will not be able to secure any points. I think this is a great victory for the likes of YSC. Like that alone is mind-blowing. YSC taking out Soul Key this week. Yeah.
Really, anything can happen in the KCM.
Anything can happen. And makes you super excited for things to come with ASL just around the corner. Saying, I mean, what more do you want in this golden age of StarCraft? We're spoiled for choice right now. We always have such fantastic, unexpected results in the KCM. And we go. I'm happy that we're going the distance. Are we seeing a very unusual finals between Action and JYJ? You don't see these two duke it out too often.
Yes, JYJ is a fantastic TVZ player. And he's going to open up in a truly unorthodox manner,
Yeah.
getting a CC first on high ground rather than down here in the natural. This could lead to some interesting interactions here between the 12 hatch out of action
Yeah.
and this CC first. This is kind of an interesting play from JYJ. I wonder how he develops this.
Well, it's going to be a much safer way of playing CC first, making it in the main base and floating it so that you don't have to worry about a drone scout like slowing it down like he would have done here. If he'd made it on the low ground, the drone would have been able to make it stop building the CC and be forced to take SCVs off the line. And as you can see more critically, a lot of Zerg players, they only scout the natural for the Terran, so now he's not going to know where JY is or what he's doing for quite some time. As you can see, this drone making its way around the rest of the map before even identifying exactly where he is. And he's now going to be figuring out the bad news after going deep into that main base with the drone now. Oh, okay, I made a bit of an error there. I should have gone deeper into the top right main.
And is this a double Rax follow-up
Yeah.
from JYJ?
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. Very interesting the way he's decided to play this out. Yeah, you're totally right. That Action only scouted the natural here to figure out what was going on. To see if there was a wall in. It's just such a powerful play right now. It's so meta to get a wall in. And just him not making that wall in completely throws off Action. He didn't build a bunch of lings or anything expecting some sort of damage. He didn't build a sunken colony either, so he hasn't been fully tricked by this. And he is going to be in a reasonable macro position, but I think that JYJ has pulled the wool over Action's eyes just a little bit here. He's got the edge mentally and maybe economically as well.
Yeah, it seems so. I mean, getting away with a CC first and they don't scout it early, there's not really anything you can do about it. You're just behind in every metric. So you usually are playing catch up and you just do the normal same thing you would usually see a 2.5 hatch coming out from Action. That's pretty expected from a more macro orientated aggressive player. He does, though, have pretty good micro and ability to put on aggression, so maybe, just maybe, he finds some way of compensating for the CC first later on, but for the time being, there's pretty much nothing he can do to punish this.
He's in a rough spot, and he knows it. Action is going to have to throw down some sunken colonies here. No two ways about it. The timing on this 2 racks is going to be moving out here before that 5-minute mark and putting on a lot of pressure. May even need a second sunken colony. If he doesn't want to build any lings, he's only got the 2 now. And so he will, in fact, have to build that second sunken colony. So this is how Starcraft starts to snowball. When you get an early advantage, if you know the game, the ins and outs of the game, you're able to force your opponent to do things that put them even further behind, like build these extra sunken colonies, and he can threaten to just dive and kill. He's going to go after this sunken colony. He's putting a lot of damage onto that. Targeting down a couple of drones as well. He kills the Overlord and just backs away. Interesting targeting decisions there from JYJ, and he will get quite a bit out of this attack.
I really like it, saying that was really well played from JYJ, baiting the drones and then just sniping them and running out. That's so big brain. He even got an Overlord as well to compensate, so they can't make additional Mutalisks right now to be able to start one-shotting SCVs or Marines very efficiently. So he both double dipped in hurting the economy of Action while also preventing him from getting up to too high of commuter count early on. So he's got these 5, but it's going to take him some time for the other Overlord to finish and get up to that 7 that's going to be able to start hitting his SCVs.
Absolutely. Now, with some open supply, Action can pump out a bunch more mutas, but you can see his gas is quite high. He's been slowed down by being forced to make that evolution chamber at the front. The 2 sunken colonies, extra overlords. He's just been pressured quite a bit here in JYJ. He's got his turrets out, albeit slightly late. Quite a few SCVs have gone down, but with that early CC, he's going to be able to replenish that number quite quickly, and he's built a lot of turrets to help defend this area. I don't think Action's going to break him here.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to break him either, but he is doing a pretty good job of snagging some SCV kills, slowly evening out that game state just a little bit here. The supplies actually look pretty okay for Action for the time being. He is trying to hide that Hydra Den, making it a tiny bit ahead of curve than he would usually. If there is a world in which JYJ plays super passive and he gets a free lurker contain, but that won't occur this game. We see even some very aggressive scans from JYJ, checking both the corners of his base to see where exactly the Mutalisks are, hoping that maybe he can catch them in transition while Action's not paying attention and get some free damage onto them and know that it's safe to push out right now. Action, though, may be able to secure more and more economic damage if JYJ is a little bit too aggressive.
JYJ is starting to move out a little bit. He's focused most of his turret production on that natural, so there may be a bit of a lack of defenses over here. No, actually, he added quite a few turrets over at this base. There is a bit of a weak point over at the top side of these mineral patches, but meanwhile, JYJ is pushing out across the map. He's moving over towards the natural. 5 Sunkens are going to be done, though. Action, if he finishes all 5 of those Sunkens before the Marines arrive, he should be able to hang on. He's killing a lot of workers back at home. Hydras have been made as well. No third base just yet for Action critically. No other attack path for JYJ. He doesn't really have another target at the moment. And switching now into Hive. Is this just going to be a Hive push, Defiler push in towards the natural? It doesn't really seem like there's a long-term strategy here for Action.
Well, the way he's being so aggressive into the main base and the SCVs makes me think that that's what he's planning on doing. That's why we see him be so aggressive while defending with Sunkens, because he's going for a 2-base timing here. This is a very viable way of playing Zerg. It just usually doesn't play out very effectively for the Zerg unless you're a really high-level player. Action's able to make it work, it seems, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to still win the game. All JYJ has to do is just stop a Defiler or Lurkers from getting to his natural expansion, and he will be absolutely fine this game. He's also got a Firebat that's managed to successfully catch the drone that is trying to expand right now. That's heading towards the 9 o'clock position, so doing a great job in most metrics here is JYJ, but the supplies seem to indicate that Action has been trading well.
One really important thing you can do if you're going to go for a play like this, oh my goodness, this hold position Lurker, he doesn't go for it. He doesn't bite. The hook is set, but JYJ does not bite. Going to be able to back away with these Marines and save himself from disaster. One of the big things that you can do as a Zerg player if you're going for a Hive play like this, and a 2-base push, is try to dive into the main and actually target down the SCVs that are building the factory, the starport, slow down that tech.
Yeah.
Every moment that you slow that down is going to be another moment without vessels raining down irradiates on your important lurkers and defilers, but he wasn't able to slow that down at all. JYJ was right on curve, as you usually are with a CC first, and he's got his macro full steam ahead. He's got that tech online. It's or almost online here. And it doesn't seem like this is the plan from Action. He's not going to go for that 2-base push we were talking about. Instead, setting up the third. Just a very late third here for Action. It's looking like a Hydraless Defiler play out of him, actually.
Yeah, with the extra macro hatcheries, it does seem now like Hydra Defiler is going to be the play. I'm not sure how that's going to work for him with how late this third base is. He is transferring some drones critically, though, so the drone transfer makes this a lot better. If there was no way of transferring the drones, I think he might just be too far behind the curve of the game, but with the drone transfer, maybe he can slowly catch up this economic game state. JYJ is not looking too healthy in supply right now, but it is looking like he has got a pretty strong position. Muta's going to be trying to hunt down some of these straggler bio groups that aren't quite as well fortified. Just one single medic protecting them, gets sniped easily. Hunting around the map with these Mutalisks may be critical for Action to keep the game state manageable. Irradiate is about to come online, though.
Yeah, that Irradiate's going to be a real problem for Action soon. He's hardly able to replenish his lurkers at the moment as it is, but once the Irradiates start to come down and he's in the middle of, researching all these upgrades, the Defiler Mound is pumping away, Consume, Plague, you've got Carapace coming online. there's just not a lot of gas going around. Not enough gas to hit all of these different things at the same time. And JYJ is going to start irradiating everything. One science vessel goes down. That's a big pick. If it can start to kill more science vessels, it's going to make this transition into 3 Hatch Hydra Defiler much smoother.
Yeah. I mean, Action's done a great job of navigating this game into a much more playable game state. He's just behind curve a little bit, and because of the early command center first and how slow this third was, it's still very playable for him. It looks like he has got all the tools in his arsenal to make this a good game. I don't think JYJ will be able to break him at either of these locations unless he's caught off guard here. Even making a cheeky hatchery in the back of that bottom left so that he can Nidus over support to take that gas easier later on. And this cheeky ninja expansion at 9 o'clock will be scouted, however. It may be able to catch JYJ off guard, taking this like back base Nidus like this and securing the expansion that way. He's been known to do that in the past on other unorthodox maps.
Interesting here for Action. Look, he sent a drone to bottom left and one to center left. And that might be expected for JYJ, but that third drone making its way over there to set up a really unorthodox position for that hatchery and getting him in position to Nidus. You can see JYJ has a unit down in bottom left. He's ready. He's looking for it. He's looking for an extra base down there, a hidden base. Oh, the eraser trick is going to do so much damage. Oh, no. That was an insane amount of damage for JYJ. Can he actually kill this? No. Won't even kill the science vessel either.
That's crazy.
Sitting right on top of all these Marines. He almost kills some of his own Marines with the irradiate. We've seen that before, Shun.
Yeah, we did. Not too long ago, actually. I don't know. Like, I really feel like by like 13 minutes, you should start to have your burrow ready. You just know that when you're behind schedule like this, you kind of need to rely on burrow to protect your units. You haven't got the same kind of gas advantage that you would usually have from that early third. So, yeah, a little bit of a mistake there maybe from Action not to go early into that investment. Finally setting up that Nidus in that bottom left. Also doing the same thing in top left with another hatchery being set up there. These maps do make it easier to go for these kind of unorthodox style that Action does like to do sometimes. We saw this from him on a few other maps in the past, and this map seems perfect for this style from him.
No.
It's going to be spoilers in bottom left.
Look at the unit.
No
bottom left.
way.
Oh my god. Unbelievable that he just spotted that.
It might just barely be not quick enough though. He might still be able to get a hold on this ramp though.
Oh, he's going to get a hold on this ramp. It's just crazy to me, though, that JYJ spotted that so early.
Right.
There's Marines over in top left as well. Action trying to set up a cheeky base over in that location. Lurkers are going to get to this ramp. He will be able to get a big plague on all of these Marines as well. Hydra's going to come forward to try and block these vessels from getting into range to throw down some irradiates. But, of course, they are going to be able to get down at least a couple of irradiates on the Lurkers, which will give Action a bit of a headache here. He's trying to make some Lurker eggs up here on the high ground. Not able to block the ramp, but at least able to prevent JYJ from getting up onto this high ground. The creep has been revealed over in top left. I don't think Action will be able to get another Nidus over there in time. He does have a Nidus potentially ready. I'm not sure if that's... Oh, that's this Nidus over here. That Nidus over there is actually in position, but this one is not. Coming up from both sides here. Oh my goodness. JYJ going to hit both sides at the same time while Action is trying to get that next gas online, and he will be able to kill, I think, this gas at least, but the plague is so good. This plague did so much damage. He gets the gas, but he loses a lot of these Marines.
Yeah, I mean, it's some compensation here. Action looking okay in supply, only behind by about 30 or so. There's more tanks coming out now from JYJ, 2 machine shops churning away. That does allow him to put a lot more pressure onto Action in the coming phase. It's another way of dealing with the game state. Instead of making drop ships, using that gas to make tanks instead and put a lot of pressure onto the Zerg. This is going to be very tough for Action to hold this because he will be able to chip away at these Sunkens easily with these tanks, and there's not much in the meat of defense then for for Action to hold out. He's going to have dropships as well as tanks. This is crazy. He's going to have tanks hitting the 6 o'clock while dropships start to come into the bottom left, and now not actually mining his Action in the bottom left. A lot of idle drones, so definitely not optimal in his game state right now, and he might be punished heavily. So there's a beautiful play on those tanks. He does catch one of these dropships. That's huge, and coming out the Nidus in time. Maybe somehow Action is going to be absolutely fine here. Catches both of those dropships. Now, though, is being laid siege to at this 6 o'clock location. 2 Dark Swarms holding both of the ramps, and some Mutalists coming in to clear up all those tanks. That's beautiful from Action.
Ooh, killing off so many tanks there. 1 lurker under Dark Swarm. Can he get a lurker on the high ground? No, a lot of lings pop out, though. He will be able to hold this position. There it is, a lurker egg on that ramp. Another eraser trick. Is there Burrow? Please, come on, tell me there's Burrow.
Oh,
no Burrow here for Action. So sad to see. Still not opting to get that Burrow, even after being punished so brutally for that earlier.
It's just 100 minerals and 100 gas. It is a big deal of an investment, but once you've got it for the rest of the game. He is going to get this Nidus Canal successfully up in the top left, though. That could spell disaster for JYJ if he's not able to expand up there, and also allows Action to maybe consider further assaults into that location. Does force JYJ to defend back at home and not keep putting pressure onto Action while he's churning away on all these gases. This makes the game state a little bit easier for Action going forward now.
Oh my gosh, Action, he hasn't put anything through that Nidus yet. Oh, a second Nidus. What is this? Wait, what?
What?
Did he build 2 Niduses? I think he built a Nidus at his natural, and this is another Nidus that he hasn't connected yet.
That's crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna die.
What?
No way! Oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
What's even funnier
okay, he
is
was actually connecting.
He could have made the Nidus further back so the Marine would just shoot it for free. The Marine's just chilling there.
He doesn't know that Marine was there. Oh, a huge plague on all of this army. He's actually going to be able to clean this up very neatly if he gets on top of it now. A lot of links coming forward. Hydra's coming forward as well. He's going to be able to kill these tanks for sure. Can he get all of the vessels as well? The vessels here are so low. A bunch of links come forward. Nidus Canal could connect. He's going to get on top of some of these SCVs. This is causing a lot of distraction at the moment for JYJ. He's going to have to deal with this Nidus over here while all this other action is going on in the map. Action, he is on 4 gases, and he may be able to get down onto the low ground and get a 5th operational. We're at 19 minutes now. He's got to make moves. He's got to make moves to take more bases. This frontal attack here, I don't see how this is going to work for Sunken Colonies here, and he's definitely going to have links. Okay, throws down a Dark Swarm on the Marines. Now the Marines can push through with no problem. It actually defends the Marines against the Sunken Colonies. A bit of a own goal there for Action. But he gets down here with a plague. He's going to be able to break through these tanks. He's holding off everywhere, albeit just barely.
This is wild game from Action. He has so much gas available to him, but he has to make sure he steps on the right pedal. There's a lot of Nidus canals, and if he goes through the wrong one at the wrong time, he will lose the momentum and the tempo of this game. But he's doing a good job of balancing the forces to these different locations and small enough numbers that he's both holding on and putting on some pressure, slowing down JYJ's expansion efforts, though JYJ did manage to double expand still, so he's on 4 bases, just not quite on the same potency of bases as he would like to be. Floating that CC from the top left down to 9 o'clock instead. Another razor trick down at 6 o'clock, and he still doesn't have Burrow. That upgrade would have been so critical in this game in avoiding potential disaster, but he's lost so many drones to these razor tricks. JYJ is still in this game, though their supplies are currently even, which definitely does favor Action, who's putting on more and more pressure into his top left quadrant. If JYJ doesn't get another mining base back online soon, Action's going to take this game.
Oh my gosh, Action is so close to winning this in such a spectacular fashion. It's crazy to me, Shun.
Yeah.
JY just put on an immense amount of pressure, but even through all of that, Action has somehow got these Niduses up, and I don't know how he's doing it, but he's somehow remembering where all the Niduses are going. That's in itself is a massive challenge.
Yeah, it's like,
just remembering, yeah.
It's like trying to drive a car for the first time. You don't even know which pedal is the accelerator right now. There's a clutch, the brake, and the accelerator. If you hit on the wrong pedal, you're not even going to go in the right direction. So hopefully he can manage to keep track of where everything is. But so far, so good for Action. Kind of styling on JYJ, a previous champion right now, and making it look a little bit easy despite that early deficit.
Oh, I don't think this looks easy at all, Shun. This is looking like the slug fight. This is the slugfest of Action's life right now. He has been just barely hanging on for such a long time. I mean, JYJ still has a supply advantage now, and he's actually got a big bank going somehow. I'm really not sure how that happened, but he's got a bank going. Action's got a drone over here in the top left. He's going to start to expand again.
Yeah.
He's going to start to take bases, and he's surrounding JYJ on all sides. I mean, there's going to be army flowing from the top left over into the center left. There's going to be stuff flowing from the bottom left, the bottom center, bottom right. He can come from so many different directions, and JYJ just kind of has to hold on everywhere. He is getting completely surrounded by Zerg now.
This is pure Starcraft saying no matter how dire the game state gets, you've just got to like zone in as much as you can and just think to yourself, there's a way of making this work, because there usually is. You've just got to find it.
I don't know how he's finding the way to make this work, but Action somehow making it happen. Doesn't have Burrow. Even now, I bet you, if there was another eraser trick, you probably would end up losing all the drones at this natural. But for the time being, that hasn't crossed JYJ's mind right now. Where are the army? Where's the army? There's 3 Niduses here. 3 Niduses. There's got to be something somewhere that can come out and save the natural. It's not coming forward though yet. Action still hasn't been able to transition into any late game army. He hasn't been able to get out any Ultralists in this game. He's just making Lings and Hydras and Lurkers and trying to hold on. Still, through all of this madness, he is continuing to build these basic units, and finally JYJ is starting to push through. Army is popping out here. Finally, some Lurkers managed to make their way forward. Everything getting irradiated though. As the Defiler comes down, the last of the Niduses will fall. There's so much orange cloud here that he could potentially still push back these tanks, but all the Niduses have been disconnected. These bases that were standing very strong on their own are no longer going to have the benefit of reinforcements from these other locations, and Action is going to start to fall apart here if he can't make this game incredibly chaotic and find a way to break through JYJ right here, right now. He's going to go ahead and try to attack into center left while defending down in bottom left. Abandoning bottom center, I think, is the right call. Here's another Nidus over here, but that'll be taken down immediately. A lot of a lot of irradiates come out, and some Lurkers get over to this base. Here it is. Oh my gosh. Is he going to do it again? We're going to lose every worker again?
I mean, JY did a good job of ripping out the gearbox of Action, but finally not going to be taking a crazy eraser trick in the bottom left. Does catch one of those vessels, so they can't cast them themselves. There's more and more vessels available to him. Those siege tanks starting to chew their way through here as he cuts through into the upholstery of Action's car, though. More and more Cheeto dust is springing out from the dirt. Not going to be enough, though, to dissuade JYJ, who's got a very strong nose and doesn't mind getting his hands dirty as he rips apart the Zerg finally, despite all that finesse all game long, trying to claw his way back into the game state. JYJ finally gets the nail in the coffin he was looking for. Ooh, look at that.
Oh my goodness. You know what would be insane, Shun? Is if we had the exact same pattern going up to week 8.
Yeah. It's possible.
What would that even mean?
What would that even mean, Sam? Some synchronicity going on.
Oh my gosh. That would be so ridiculous.
Oof, that last game was pretty intense.
That was crazy.
I mean, Action's one of the best in the business at making those unorthodox hatcheries work, at like setting up like proxy Niduses and stuff. So yeah, his expertise almost came back in that game. And JYJ though played like a champion and didn't stop once.
No, he didn't stop once. And really, Marine tank is the best way to deal with that.
Yeah.
Alright, just masses of Marines, keep adding on tanks.
Yeah.
It makes it so hard for you to trade. It's just such an ugly trade every time if you've got tanks mixed in.
Well, you can either gamble with dropships, restrict gas with BCs, or pressure with tanks. And the pressure with tanks made way more sense in that game state.
That's just like, if you only have Marines and BCs, the Dark Swarm Hydra, like, you can't really deal damage to it at all. But
Yeah.
even if you get Dark Swarm down and there's 4 tanks, the Hydras are still going to get splashed. They just clump so much.
Yeah. You can't really go BCs or dropships against that. It's more optimal to go tanks.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of have to.
Ooh. All right.
Good cast, good games.
Yeah.
Wrap up.
Let's wrap up. That wild, down and dirty, sloppy final game, not reflected at all in this point ranking. Just beautiful symmetry here as we go into week number 6, week number 5, as our Terran players ahead once again. Zerg in second place and Protoss once again in third, but it's anybody's season, Shun.
Yeah. This is going to be wild, saying. I mean, maybe this pattern as well can continue between these 3 squads. There's been neck and neck for the last couple of weeks. It may still continue to be so all the way to that week 8 spot. I would love to see it. I'll have to wait and see and find out. But I'm super interested about Terrans finally taking a strong lead in this midweek of the season. I think that would spell usually a pretty exciting season overall, especially with Protoss actually getting some points on the board and not just flatlining. There's everyone's game still. So it's going to keep each week super exciting for us, and I'm sure you guys back at home as well.
I'm thinking we need to bring back Tyson. Tyson YSC turned out to be the combo of what they needed. I mean, it didn't work out too good in the first couple of weeks. I think they've been basically the first 4 weeks.
Right.
Bringing out Tyson and YSC and various other top players. But mini Tyson YSC, that seems to be the correct combo to get wins for the Protoss squad. And we'll see if we want to move back in that direction or if the Protoss are going to bring out the big guns. We're going to get Snow out here, maybe Rain. Both of those players are getting prepared for the ASL, no doubt, as the qualifiers have finished. Guys, this is the end of our week number 4, but don't forget to tune into the SDS as well. Like I said, Shun and I will be casting that tomorrow. It'll be out on YouTube tomorrow, the day after this KCM comes out, but it's going to be live. Actually, it'll be live before this cast comes out, so you guys can catch it.
Those
on
were
the
great
YouTube
games
channel.
we casted on that live.
Yeah.
That was I hope you guys enjoyed that. Woo! What a series.
Soul Key versus Snow. Like, can you ask for a better series?
No. Pretty
You
good.
dream a better series. There's such a rivalry between those two.
Yeah.
It's great. Like, just the last season, we had them going at it in the semifinals of the finals, right? Like, they've been going at it for multiple seasons, and there's been a history of Snow kind of falling flat, but he's also fired back in big ways in other tournaments, and also in the KCM as well. So we're really looking forward to casting that series, and we're hoping you'll join us. Thank you guys so much for being here for this week of the KCM, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
All right. Good cast, good games.
Good games. Yeah, that last one was a wild series. Or wild game, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh.
Quite a long one as well. The whole series lasted quite a long time, went the distance.
Mm-hmm. Whew.
Man, the ASL is going to be nuts. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be good.
Wait, is it the 17th?
I don't think so. I believe I actually have it open here. It is the 24th.
Oh,
Group
my
A.
bad. Yeah. Are we doing that?
Yeah, the
We're
1
doing
week
that
after
live,
that.
right?
I believe so, yeah.
I think it might be morning time, my time. It was similar to that last time. It's quite early morning, I think, Korean time when it starts.
Oh, actually, it's the same time as we do KCM, 7 p.m.
I thought it might be. I
yeah.
thought it'd be around then. Yeah.
We're going to be perfect.
Yeah. High five, dude. Stars align.
At our regular time, regular scheduled programming. Same time as we're planning to do SCSL as well. I'm still waiting on hearing back. You know what's funny? We reached that goal, and I sent Cruiser a message. I said, "Hey, we reached the gem goal," and he said, "LOL."
He said, "Hello." We just said, "Lol." You didn't expect it or something?
I don't know. Like, no, good job. You know? Wow, that's great. LOL.
Well,
All right, Cruiser.
He's hard to impress, I guess, you know? It's like, hey, Cruiser, we got a
Funny.
foreigner in the ASL, and he managed to get through all the way to round of 8. And he's just like, lol.
Maybe it was because I was so worried that we weren't going to be able to make it. I was like, oh man.
You might just be laughing at you being a sausage monkey, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's like, I was like, man, $300. I don't know if I can get anybody to donate on soup. It's gonna be tough.
Well, it's the transition that's the main thing, because obviously people aren't used to that platform yet, or at least most of them. So it's a grace period. I'm sure like enough percentage of them will be interested that it'll be okay.
Yeah. Also, they fixed a lot of the lag issues that I think Soup had before, or Africa TV had before.
This is a live, by the way, so be careful what you say. But yeah,
No, they had some troubles before. There's no doubt about it. But I think it's doing really well now, and I haven't heard of any lag issues so far. Also, since we are live, I can tell you some information that if you watch on the app, you will get ads, but if you watch on the computer, you won't get ads.
Ooh.
So that's a sneaky little play right there. You can watch on computer, connect your computer to your TV or whatever.
Nice. Yeah.
And watch without ads. Ads free.
That sounds
Pretty
really
nice.
good. I like that. It's a nice little touch, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, or you can just watch it on YouTube after. I mean, you might get ads on YouTube. Just depends on if you're subscribed or whatever.
Or using AdBlock
YouTube
or
Premium.
Premium YouTube, yeah.
AdBlock, yeah. AdBlock's pretty hard to use these days, and they're really not letting you get away with much.
Yeah, you can, I think, still I think you can block manually some stuff, but YouTube's pretty smart at getting around the ad blocks these days. It used to be easy, now it's not so much.
Mm-hmm. They've cut off all the routes of escape.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they got too much APM. Can't slip one by them.
True. So, how does my voice sound in this cast?
That sounds
Do you
pretty
notice
good.
a difference?
You mean in terms of quality, or in terms of like your voice strain?
Oh, just my voice. How does it sound? Sound different?
Sounds a little bit rounded. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I upgraded my mic. I finally went XLR.
Ah, yeah. There's something about your voice sounds like, I don't know. There's like not as much like roughness to the edge of your voice. I don't know how to explain it. You sound a little bit cleaner. Is basically what I'm saying.
I'm trying to dial it in still. It's not quite there, but
Yeah.
I'm working on it. I've got the full setup now. I invested a bunch of money into it.
I thought you meant like how's your voice in terms of like casting strain, because you've been casting a lot. But yeah, your voice in terms of quality sounds good.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'm feeling a little strained right now. I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna take a rest.
Yeah. I could tell there was a few moments you were struggling, but you're all right. If you are struggling, don't just give me a nudge that you want me to talk a little bit extra that match, so you can rest for a few extra seconds or whatever,
All right, sounds good. I'll do that in the future. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see how my voice feels tomorrow.
Yeah, like for
Love some nice hot tea.
even just for like
chill.
half of the game where you just want to like take a few minutes to like not talk as much, where you're doing shorter bursts of talking.
Yeah, I get carried away.
It's okay.
Hard for me.
Just let me pick up the slack when you do feel like, oh shit, I need to chill for a second.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right. What do you guys think about in the chat? What do you think that last game deserves a best of 2025 slot?
Yeah, what do you guys think? Let's read some of the recents. Action beat light with Proxy Nidus and Rush S. Yeah. That Proxy Nidus was insane. Action's like one of the best in the business with using Nidus canals like that, both aggressively and defensively to set up bases. I really like watching him play. Sometimes he brings the most craziest games because of his interesting way of approaching the game state. I mean, Dustin, Scumbag Terrans, they win, but they deserve a win. I mean, it helps us that, with the people that talk shit in the comments about how unfair it is that Terran lose again. It gives us some catharsis when we know that the game is actually a lot more balanced than these guys think. Sam, what's the time difference for us right now? What time's it for you?
10:24 p.m.
It's nearly 1:30 for me. Okay. It's like 9. Although we go back, our clocks change at the end of March by an hour.
You're gonna.
Our savings is a little bit slower than NA. Like they already changed theirs, whereas we haven't. We got like a month difference.
That's not confusing at all.
Oh yeah, right? It's fun, right? It's so fun.
Sounds very necessary.
Yeah, I really wish it was a more universal time difference and we changed how daylight savings work, but unfortunately we do it at different times.
It is what it is.
Yeah. So that means for like a short period of the year, the times are a lot shorter than usual, like only like a 5-hour difference to NA, for example, and then back up to 6 or whatever. But for real, that last game was wild. Just wish I could have gotten his economy going without those eraser tricks. Yeah, this is the thing. It's like by 13 minutes, they've got enough irradiates that they're not only irradiating their lurkers, but they got enough to potentially eraser. So by about 13 minutes, 13:30, really you should be thinking about having burrow done. So I would say around like 12:30. If you can afford it, you should be getting it. It's just almost necessary to get it unless you're able to always snipe vessels perfectly, which you almost never can. You kind of need to do it because your economy just takes too much of a hit otherwise. It's not just the drones dying, it's the fact that you have to replace that with lava and you haven't got that much lava available at that point in the game. The whole world needs to end these time changes. Just for the sake of it's just for the sake of chaos. Yeah, sometimes you wonder if it's like orchestrated chaos. Keep the world as confusing as possible. What do you think, Sam? Is it by design?
I don't know. Never associate, or no, what's it called? Never attribute to malice what can be attributed to
Competence.
incompetence. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's also probably more true. I think people don't realize just how inept the vast majority of humans are, and they maybe like to think that the world is a bit more sorted out than it actually is. But the reality is, it's a big clown show of ineptitude, and it's held together by elastic tape and chewing gum to make it seem like the roof is still on.
I think what you have to do is just assume that it's ineptitude and just dumb people, and like look and see. Kind of like when someone's like reviewing your taxes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they look at it and it's like, oh, you're just an idiot. You're just an idiot. Like you just keep making mistakes. But if all the mistakes are going in the same direction, then that's when you can attribute like maybe there's something going on. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
oh, all of these errors seem to be making you a lot of money. You know what I mean?
How convenient.
That's yeah, that's a little weird. You must just be incompetent, right? No, like, I need to think about this. Yeah.
Yeah, like weaponized incompetence almost.
Yeah, just playing dumb, you know, playing dumb and making a lot of money.
It's like doing the dishes so badly that your girlfriend or wife never asks you to do the washing up again.
Something like that.
Is incompetence anything more than organized chaos? It's not organized though, because incompetence implies lack of organization, because organization implies some degree of competence, right? So organized chaos and incompetence can't really go hand in hand unless you're pretending to be incompetent. Then obviously it can.
Oops. Yeah, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Started this for no reason.
Is it
Not even ready yet?
Is the link working, by the way? I sent you.
Check.
Should be.
Yeah, it's working.
Okay, good. Goody gumdrops. Well, but chaos by its design isn't organized, right? It's chaos, it's entropy, it's decay. It's not organized. It's like, that'd be like me telling you to like make the sand organize itself into a sandcastle. I mean, you would need to have the sand particles operated by nanobots for something like that to occur, and then that would be technically organized chaos, but it'd be simulated. So on the surface, it looks like the sand organizes itself into a sandcastle, but it's still a parlor trick. It's still nanobots doing it. So again, it's like faking it. So it's like weaponized incompetence.
There are occasions where nature like creates some sort of like really unique pattern, and it's
Right,
just totally random. You know what I
but
mean?
to a certain extent, like a sand won't form into a perfect castle, is what I'm saying. Obviously, there can be very crazy patterns in nature, like on the mountainside or something, like some really intricate patterns come out that's like, what? That looks like man-made.
Yeah, that looks like it was by design, but it was just happenstance. It's possible.
But I think
maybe that's the organized chaos he's talking about.
I think organized chaos, if there was such a thing, would be more time manipulation, because if you were able to manipulate the arrow of time, for example, then you could organize chaos, because the one person would be experiencing chaos, whereas you would be experiencing order. So from your perspective, the arrow of time looks like it's putting things into more of an orderly state, whereas from the other person's perspective, it looks like things are moving from an orderly state into one of more chaos. So it would depend on how much you could also manipulate time. Because the arrow of time, which is what entropy is. So if you can manipulate the arrow of time, you can manipulate entropy. So maybe there's some like 4-dimensional aliens out there that basically are like chaos wizards, where they can organize chaos at will through the control of time. But that's just a theory, a caster theory. What's really weird is that like multiple people have paid me back some of the money they owe me recently at the same time. It's kind of synchronous. Two separate sources at the same time. Totally different reasons, totally different timescales.
It's weird.
Kind of interesting, isn't it? Literally the same time, same day, same moment. Literally like within the same hour. Two completely different parties. From a while ago.
Strange.
It's kind of odd, right?
It was weird. Maybe you need that money now.
The universe is like, here's a little bit of a jump start. Here's some money.
Maybe. I just have got my own problems with money right now. It's been so annoying. I'm trying to move some money to Japan.
Oh.
And I'm moving it through Wise.
Yeah.
And so I sent this money through Wise, and Wise is like, okay, you can send that money. So I send it. And then I go to send it on to my Japanese bank account, and they're like, oh, you can't send that much money. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll send it like slowly over time. And then they're like, oh, you can't have this much money in your bank account.
What? Why?
I'm like, well, let me move it then. Well, you're not gonna let me move it, but I'm not allowed to have that much. But you allowed me to put it in. Like, what is going on?
That's kind of weird.
So weird.
But why not? Why can't you have that much? Like, what? What's the point?
I don't know. It was like some sort of regulation or something. You're not allowed to have that much.
Is it like to
What the
avoid?
fuck?
Is it like a way of like fighting money laundering or something? Like, why would it be like that?
I don't know, but it's like, first you let me put that money in, and then you tell me that I can't take it all out at once. I try to send it all at once, and it won't let me send it.
No.
And then it's like, oh, but you can't have that much in your account.
Foolish saying.
What?
You got a bank account. You thought you could put money into your account? Like, what are you talking about, saying? What kind of concept are you even thinking of?
Listen. You can send your money out, but you can't send that much. And you can't have that much in your account. Well, let me send it then. No. You can't send it all at once.
Don't be foolish. What are you talking about?
That's against the rules.
It's crazy.
What the fuck? What fucking world am I living in?
That's some red tape that's next level if I've ever heard it, man. I don't even know what that is. You know, there's like shit in England where like a guy goes in, puts money on gambles money on like a sports outcome, pays in cash, comes back to collect his winnings, and they refuse to pay him in cash, and they say no, we won't pay you, and they'll like come up with any excuse not to pay you, and like say like, oh, it has to be paid by card, or like we can't pay you in cash, or you have to, and to the point where they'll even like make you leave and like call the police on you. Like, it's crazy out there what people try and get away with. Even if you're just there standing calmly, just being like, I want my money, please. Even if you're not raising your voice or swearing, they'll still do that kind of shit sometimes.
That's madness.
Just because they don't want to pay out a lump sum in cash. It's wild. Crazy world, and what people get away with certain regulations and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, so not tonight, but the night after tonight for soup.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Morning tomorrow.
Huh?
Oh no, sorry.
Yeah.
It's in 12 hours from now. 12 hours from now.
Wait, tonight then?
12 hours from now.
That's what I'm trying to confirm. So it is tonight, my time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's gonna be kind of like morning your time, I guess, right? Because it'll be 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Solky versus Snow. That'll be fun.
I'd have to get you to do most of the loud hype stuff, because I'll be like more level volume and not being too loud, you know.
Fair.
I won't like
I'll try to save my voice for then.
I'll be
really quiet for the next 12 hours.
Yeah, I'll be like calm analysis most of the game, just to be a bit more stable volume.
Sounds good.
Be like, welcome to some Sean ASMR. He's building a cellar over there. Just kidding.
Oh, so BCM was the guy who took out Queen in the.
Yeah, same guy. Same guy.
Well, that's interesting. So it's not just a one-time
No,
thing.
no, no. That's
then.
what I was trying to make a big deal out of it. Because it's like crazy.
Ah.
It's like really, really weird that it's happened again. And Hero, no less.
Hmm.
Just shows you how crazy strong Terran is.
Interesting.
He's an amateur player. Like when he beat Queen, he was like 2200 on the ladder. You know, like not even that strong.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That is wild. Maybe I need to cast a couple of games on Death Valley. I
Yes.
haven't done any yet.
We need to learn that map as a casters. I mean,
Yeah, I might download a bunch of Death Valley games
Do it.
and I'll cast them for the channel for like a random day, and then I'll send them over to you as well, and you can watch them.
yeah. This map we have
Yeah.
very little information on. We've got pretty much all the other maps figured out, mostly in terms of like understanding them, but that one in particular, we're really blindsided on. We have some ideas on how to abuse it, but yeah, it's who the fuck knows. It might be a very cheesy map. I don't know. I'm not sure if you can control the lanes well enough with that. The double gases. I'm not sure if there's like strategies where it's like you deliberately close that off early or not. I don't know.
I was trying to think of that. Like, how would you do it? If I was Zerg playing on that map, like, what would I do?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, I think it would be pretty strong to hop a drone and take the base early versus Terran.
Maybe.
So kind of gaming it out. But
Yeah.
then I'm not sure. I feel like also it would be pretty strong for Terran to just mine that out. Like they could build the CC on high ground.
I think you have to pull first on that map. I think we might be seeing some 12 pulls. There might be some risky 12 hatches, but I think that will be like more of an exception than a rule. I think the 12 hatch will be like a 33% option, and the rest of the games will be more pull first based, I think.
Like, let me just think of this. Like, imagine Terran does a CC first on high ground, and they put their first supply depot in between the gases, so blocking the gas, right? So Zealot or Lings can't get in.
Yeah.
And then they mine. Like then they go ahead and get their barracks, and they start mining out those mineral patches on the other side.
Right.
From that CC, and then float the CC over to the low ground.
That could work.
Like, I feel like you could get away with CC first every game if you did that. Like, how are they gonna punish you?
It
The
takes so
surface area
long to,
on the
yeah, it takes so long to switch lanes and come down the other side. So there's not much they can really do to you. And by the time they did get there, you'd easily be able to build a bunker or whatever. Yeah, I don't, unless you have like a meta game build when you know they're going to expand down there and you like proxied some shit over there or something. I don't know. I think it's going to be a pretty cheesy mind gamey map. I don't think there's going to be a cookie cutter way of playing it. It's going to be a rock paper scissor kind of map, I think. I can't imagine how you can cookie cutter that map where it's like you play something that's going to work 80+% of the time. I don't see that's going to be reality. I think it's going to be a rock paper scissors map.
should be fun. Should be interesting.
Yeah, I think the games will be the wildest on that map. in terms of like not knowing what's going to happen.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take a rest.
Sounds
I'll
good.
talk to you later.
Take it easy, buddy.
Yeah, don't
Hmm?
maybe take a nap. Maybe take a nap today or something. Get ready for tonight.
Sure, but I'll be alright.
All right.
I got
sounds good.
socialization to do, but I'll be alright.
Socialization. What's that?
Oh, like meeting up with people, you know, having dinner with people and stuff.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have fun with that. Enjoy it.
Yeah,
I'll see you tomorrow.
yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, mate. You take it easy.
Peace.
Push. Have a good one, guys. Catch you on the Flippity Flip. Tune into the Soup Stream. 12 hours.